just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. You may look at this desk and say, geez, it looks smarter. It looks more intelligent. It looks more in tune with the game. It looks like it's about to give me actual rugby league knowledge rather than a bunch of dribble and nonsense. If you had that reaction, even you said it looks like that, and you can't even see us right now. You can just hear it. Guru and Hammy are still over in Vegas. They don't care about you guys. We stayed in Australia purely because we wanted to be here for this show. There's no other reason for it. It was purely to give you this show. Timmy, your thoughts, mate?
I came in this morning, Kempy, walked into the studio, and everything was just peaceful and quiet. The serenity is the word that comes to mind.
Exactly, absolutely.
And there was no Harold Match chat being thrown about the studio. It was just good, straight.
Yipping and yahooing about a Roosters win.
Yeah, exactly, all of that. And I was like, what's missing? What's different to other weeks? And I still haven't worked it out. And you mentioned it there. You know, we could have been over there, mate. We could have been over there on the piss and been hungover and not been professional and
not caring about our audience.
Exactly, but no, we held firm. We've stuck here and we're here for Monday morning, ready to go. While the other two are over there carrying on
like absolute pork chops.
I'm so fresh. I don't know if it's like this coincides with the rugby league being back, but this is the second happiest I've been all year outside of yesterday. And I think maybe it's because the footy's back, but I actually think it's because Guru and Hammy aren't here, to be fair.
Oh, how good. Now, with the CBA shirts, I've said it a few times now, guys, but they were delayed at port. The containers, not just our container, but a bunch of containers got delayed coming into the country. They will be sent out either this week or next week. So don't worry, you're still going to get them. They're just probably going to be a week later than we thought. I mean, if they had been on time, you would have got them definitely before Vegas. But they will be arriving. Also, just a hot tip, they can only be cold washed and not in the dryer. They are really high quality material, guys, so don't put them in warm washers and don't put them in the dryer because it will put them out of shape a little bit. Look, it says all the instructions inside the shirt, but look, I'm like you guys. I don't read that shit. I just go, can chuck it in. So make sure only a cold wash with these shirts, guys. Trust me, I was driving into work today and I was like, I'm so excited for you guys to actually, get the shirts and put them on and see how different they feel to the normal shirts. I'm so excited. Also, a reminder, the Bloke Survey is still open and we are giving away $1,000 worth of vouchers randomly. So 10 $100 gift vouchers for bloke.shop. We are giving them away randomly to people that do the Bloke Survey. It has already been a major success, guys. Thank you so much for your support. I cannot stress to you enough, if you're a listener of this and there are tens and tens of thousands of you, all you need to do, 5 minutes, it really helps this podcast grow and do better. And it just takes 5 minutes, plus you have a chance to win a $100 voucher. So yeah, if you could do that, I would really appreciate it. It takes 2 seconds. And if you consume this content all the time and you enjoy the Bloke Potty, it's only going to do more for you by doing the survey.
And also, we've got some really, really cool merch coming up. So a $100 voucher is going to be really, really, really,
very
really
true,
good.
Very true. And this merch is hot to trot. It's coming up soon. In, what do you reckon? Is it a month or two?
Yeah, probably late April, early May, yeah.
Yeah. So, $100 voucher goes a long way. This show is brought to you by Sportsbet. Massive thank you to the Sportsbet legends. Really appreciate the support. And just quietly, I did get on Benny Travojevic, anytime, try scorer, $6.50. I think it was paying $6.25.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well played, Kempy. I was really excited to be giving Matty a positive shout out on this potty this week. He messaged me on about Thursday and he goes, just a question, if you were framing a market for Benny Travojevic and Suo Wong both to score, you'd say, what would it be as a multi? I sort of thought, I'd have them both probably early 420, 430 odd. So as a multi, anywhere from sort of $16 to $20. He come back to me and he goes, I've just got him at 50 to 1. He goes,
50 to 1.
So then when Benny Travojevic scored in that first game, I went, we're on here, Matty. I think I can throw over to you for the heartbreak.
Yeah, and then late in the game, Wong gets taken off the field and like literally 2 or 3 minutes after he gets taken off, Teddy goes through and Radley, who'd moved to Wong's edge, is in support and he scores. It was so heartbreaking, but it was bloody close.
That'll do it. So massive thank you to Sportsbet for partnering show. All right, boys, let's talk about it. Las Vegas. What are our thoughts? How do we feel about it? Well, firstly, I want to send a massive congratulations to the NRL. This was an incredible weekend. It has exceeded all my expectations as a footy fan. And I think that Blandies, Abdo, everyone that works in the NRL, I think everyone at Fox League, everyone at Nine, every single, I guess, large company that spent a lot of money to make this as good as it was, deserves a massive rap. And what an incredibly, I was saying to Matty before the show, it is just so exciting to be a part of rugby league right now. The state of the game has never been better. And the moves that are being made currently, I think the NRL deserves a massive rap. I thought if they got anywhere from like 20 to 25,000 people, I was sitting there going, that's a success. I thought it was going to be year 3 or 4 where we really sat back and said, you know what, this is building into something great. Honestly, year 1, off the bat. I mean, I actually read a comment the other day. I think someone messaged me. Even one-day cricket, the first few games were like, barely anyone was there. Off the bat, over 40,000 people to watch Broncos versus Roosters, on top of the fact that there were crazy winds around the stadium. So that would have maybe turned away a few locals that said, I'm not going to go out in that. Incredible effort by Fox, by Nine, by NRL. I think it's absolutely amazing and I loved it. And to put it this way, I don't think anyone that went to Vegas to watch those games came away thinking, oh, this will be good in 2 to 3 years. I reckon they came away thinking this was a triple lifetime.
Yeah. Full credit, obviously, to the NRL and what they've done, speaking from a fan's perspective, because from a financial perspective, we'll see the impact that this has had and whether or not it was a good decision, you know, in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, and probably further down the track. But from a fan's perspective looking in, they couldn't have done any better, could they? The whole spectacle was just phenomenal. The big one you mentioned there, Kemper, was always going to be the crowd and how many tickets they sold, how many bums on seats. And it ended up with over 40,000 people there, and you looked at the stadium and it looked filled up.
Yeah.
There was plenty of people there. The atmosphere was apparently phenomenal. If you never, ever, ever doubt Saint PVL, the innovation he brings to this game, what he's done in the last 4 to 5 years, everything he touches turns to gold just about. And hopefully financially this is a good move, but looking in, brilliant.
Yeah, look, as long as the only way that this could be considered a failure is if they absolutely broke the bank. Like if they just threw money at it and it's almost impossible to recover that money over the next few years. Look, there's no doubt in my mind that they made a financial loss this year.
Yeah.
Like there's no doubt. But the money that they may make up in year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, because this is genuinely something that could just be year on year. Then if it becomes a thing that round 0 is this like crazy good concept, maybe it moves around to different places in America that are cool or around the world or whatever. If the NRL can prove that this is an event worth going to, it could become something that every 5 years they change.
Well, just on that, something that I really enjoyed about the whole week is obviously we weren't there, but because Fox Sports, Nine, and then all content creators like Guru, Hammy, Hello Sport, a bunch of people went over and sold the experience like we were living through it. Like, for example, the first NRL 360 was done on the panel, strip in the background, crowd there, hectic.
Some very questionable ads rolling past.
Very questionable ads. But then you had people like Guru, like all these people doing tours of the stadium. It felt like you were there, and it made me think, wow, I'd absolutely love to be here. So I think it was really good having all those people there to sell the experience for the next few years.
Yeah, and I mean, hats off to those, because like, you know, Guru and HSP and that, like, they went off their own bat, you know, so that's a massive rap to them for giving that access to us as well. You know, even you know, like James Graham, Wade Graham, all those boys went over there with their radio stations. So yeah, what an incredible week. Again, there will be some naysayers that will look at, oh, you made X amount of $1 million loss in the year, therefore it's a failure. These things, like in any large-scale kind of business attempt, very rarely are you profitable in the first year. Very rarely.
And that's it, Kempy. I think the NRL's probably been criticised at stages in the past about being a bit short-term thinkers. It's such a long-term plan. It's not going to happen in year one.
No.
But they're looking at risk v reward, and for a bit of an investment over there, if they can hit their targets and have the success that they're hoping for, whether that is to get into American sports people, whether it's getting American fans watching the game, whether, and I'm sure a big part of it is around the betting and tapping into that market over there. The long-term success, if they can pull this off from a financial perspective and a business perspective over the next 5 to 10 years, however long it might be, the potential is there to set the NRL up for a long, long time in the future and secure the future of the game, because people think the NRL will be here forever and it'll all be financial well and good. You have to expand with the times, don't you? And you have to change things up and go out and do new things, because other sports will evolve. We have to do the same, and on early signs, it looks good.
I think that the NRL have a perfect case study in Magic Round. So when the NRL bought in Magic Round a few years ago, it probably had a similar kind of reaction to that. Like, it was really successful, but compared to what it is now, Magic Round is as big as Origin and Grand Final at the moment. So if it goes in that direction, then wow, it's going to be crazy in 5 years.
The first Magic Round, it was like, cool, there was hype around it, good crowds and whatnot. What is it, 5 years on or whatever, it's just the must-have ticket, and people are booking the second they get back from Magic Round, or maybe the day after when they've recovered, it's booking tickets for next year.
Well, it sells out. The 3 days sell out like that at Magic Round. Whereas I don't think that might happen the first year because of the hype, but I don't think it happened initially. Whereas nowadays it's like genuinely almost tough to get a ticket. And with Vegas, like, yes, I understand the American market's like crazy hard to get into, crazy hard. But it's not like you don't need to go and be NFL over there. You just need a slither of the market. 4 million people watch the NRL Grand Final. And I think it's like 3.5 million in Origin or something, vice versa or whatever. There's 340 or 50 million people in America. If you just get, even if it's just 3 or 4 million people, you're doubling your grand final audience, which is a tiny sliver. And that's where, if you were to look at the only way we can make a huge blow to AFL, it is that. It's that. Getting another 4 million people that are keen on the game, that increases our revenue by substantial margin, blah, blah, blah. So on top of all of that, from purely a fan's perspective, tell me a round one that's been this exciting in the history that I've been watching it. Opening
up with that Bunnies Manly game, we were talking off air about, I'm like, I wonder how strategic it was to get these two notoriously outstanding, two of the best attacking teams in the competition to open up that round. And two sides also with some, probably a bit harsh on the Bunnies, but some questionable defences. You just knew points were going to flow. You knew there were going to be big plays from Tom Trbojevic and from Latrell Mitchell, all these superstars of our game. Had to be strategic, the teams they picked.
Surely. And then they pick the Broncos Roosters, which is two teams that at the very least, they're going to bash each other. Yeah. At the very least, plus obviously Reece Walsh and Teddy.
And we, because we watch the game every week and analyse it, we really appreciate the quality of a game, if it's a good one or if it's a bad one. Americans watching on, nothing probably changes too much for them, but what does change is the highlight reel moments like Latrell barging over, like Joey Manu's flick pass that then can go viral and circulate around America and, have these headline grabbing moments for the newscasts over there that do happen to touch on the NRL.
Yeah, and imagine the locals in Vegas where year one, what's this rugby league? Oh, yeah, whatever. Year two, okay, they see a couple of clips. Year three, you know what? Let's go check that rugby league out. That's kind of how it happens. So I think absolutely incredible. Well done to the NRL. Well done to everyone, all the networks that made this possible. Because, even from, I understand AFL is a really strong game and they've, financially they have done such a good job and they're quite a way ahead of us. But I tell you what, I'm sure they're sitting in their, head offices going, that's a one-up to the NRL. They one-up us all the time, so I'm not pretending like we're a bigger game that constantly, but this is a victory over the AFL that we have, Now, what did it cost us? That's the question we need to find out. But at this stage, from a purely a fans perspective and exposure perspective, it's a win.
And also, didn't the players repay the hard work the NRL put in by putting on two just such exciting games?
And like round one, to have that quality. Like round one's usually bludgers. Like honestly, it's usually just a step above friggin' trial matches.
Notoriously poor performances.
Yeah, low points, just low defensive reads, low attack. They blow out after the 25th minute.
The attack in particular, and we're about to see it in a week's time, I guarantee you. There's going to be some bludgers, and the attacks are so clunky, but in particular that first game, Manly and the Bunnies, the attack was just on song.
Also, shout out to the reffing. Bloody good reffing. Now, was it because, ironically, we've been saying this for years now, let the game flow. Let the boys sort it out. They'll sort it out. Was the directive, guys, ref it like a grand final or origin? Maybe that was the directive. Whatever the directive was, if it comes back to what we've had, look, to be honest, after seeing some of those Super League calls, I'm kind of like, you know what? We got pretty good refs. But if it goes back to normal, look, we have tried to be as pro-ref as possible, because if we're too harsh on refs, guys, we're going to have none of them. You have to remember that. Next time you want to get on social media and start bagging, like, I don't mean criticising, because we're all entitled to that, but going in on refs, remember, that's actually only going to make the quality worse, because less people are going to be involved. But so if it goes back to normal and we just get a couple of clanger calls here and there on the weekend, whatever. All I know is this: the refs were outstanding on the weekend.
Yeah. And you say, were there different directives to make sure the game's a spectacle, that it was quick flowing and all that? Absolutely there was. And the best example of that was South Sydney got their first penalty in the 73rd minute of the game. Yeah. That is unheard of. I am all for it. Again, not necessarily week in, week out, because... bringing fatigue into the game and bringing the quick blokes into the game and the fitter blokes, I love it. I'm all for it. But over 27-round competition plus finals, you run out of steam. But when we had one weekend to get it right over there, when they knew that probably attacks were going to be a little bit off, defences would be good early in the season, to put on this spectacle, they needed points. They needed free-flowing footy. The players were gassed, but they looked all right. Terrell May played 53 minutes straight off the bench. Don't think he broke a sweat, the big fella. Yep. So, they all showed they could handle it. The adjudicating was top-notch.
Yeah. And as you said, Matty, given the NRL rap and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, if the players don't turn up and put on a show, it means nothing. So massive congratulations, like the players, the amount of media they all did, like it was almost like a grand final week. Like the players were out and about. So a massive thank you to all the players that just put on a spectacle. Like it was, honestly, tell me a round one that was that cool to watch. Yeah. Never. Not since I've been watching rugby league. It has not even come close to that. Now, what do you got there, Matty?
I was just going to say, in the Roosters-Broncos game, when the game I think Radley scored the game-winning try, and then I looked up and there was 5 minutes left. I was genuinely upset that the game was about to end and that there wasn't a third game. Like I was just frothing for more. It was just the best.
And because it was so exciting and executed so well, we get that excited for round one every year anyway. But if it's kicking off with that every year and it's that good every year and they can sustain it, it just adds more hype to the start of the footy season.
Oh man, there's so many other things that if they nail the amount of it's the hype part that, imagine how many casual fans that are kind of like, watch a bit of AFL, or watch a bit of NRL, a bit of soccer, but that Vegas, because it kicks things off in such a big way, that's how you sway those casual fans to I have to watch the NRL. Like it's Vegas week. All the shows that come out of it, all the content I get to consume. Compared to a normal round 1 week, there's not really that much content outside of the normal yes, sir, no, we're going to play this, going to do that. Whereas as a casual fan, you're like, I want to see Matty Johns at Thunder Down Under, Hindy getting new. You know what I mean? I want to see all that stuff, and you don't get that on a normal round one.
Yeah. And the other thing about it, if this can be a regular thing where 50,000, hopefully 50,000 plus Aussies buy tickets to go over there. Of course, the idea is we want to get Americans to go to the games, but apparently there's a ton of English fans over there as well, ton of Aussie fans. If 50,000 people are going over for 12 months when they've bought their tickets and you're having small talk with your missus mates, all that sort of stuff, and your holidays coming up. Yeah, I'm actually going to Vegas next year to watch the NRL. Oh, cool, who's playing?
Yep.
Tell us more about it. 12 months of hype to 50,000 people.
Oh, 100%. Now, speaking of that, I actually got a message. Really interesting concept, this. Play the World Club Challenge there as well as those two games. I think that is unbelievable good idea. I saw Guru posted it, I think maybe this morning in our time. I actually got it messaged before that. I think that's a no-brainer, surely. And I know English fans miss out on that World Club Challenge at home, but if we want this World Club Challenge to mean something and put a bit of value, like I know it means something to English fans, but look, as NRL fans, like I don't really doesn't bother me.
I think if you take it to Vegas, it becomes bigger than just the two clubs that are in it. So you're gonna double, triple your audience that watches it. I think it's a no-brainer.
And also, then I don't know, for some reason it starts becoming like this is kind of part of the NRL now, so it becomes more important to me. Not to sit here and say I'm not discounting the efforts of England, the English sides when they win. Like it's an incredible effort. Wigan were outstanding, but just from a perspective of doesn't really get me pumped the way a round one would for the NRL, I think.
And you have, when it's played in Australia, a handful of English fans, passionate fans coming down and watching it, and it's great. Vice versa, when it goes over there, a handful of passionate fans for the side playing will go over, but it's never a lot either side. Imagine if we went, all right, let's meet up at a 80,000 person stadium in Vegas. The Pommy fans go over there for their holiday. The Aussies go over. You get the NRL games with it. How unreal that collaboration between the Super League, the NRL, and the fans of rugby league would be in Vegas.
I think it's a great idea. I really think that it'll give the Super League more exposure. To Vegas fans, you can say this is the World Cup. For rugby league, this is the World Cup final.
Surely the Super League team, if they win the comp, would love to go to Vegas.
Oh, fucking right. Hey, those Poms. They love it. They love it because there's nothing to do in England. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh, no.
Don't come for me. I'm joking. It's just sometimes the weather can be not great. I'm just saying. But yeah, I think it'd be great for the Super League as well to do that. So, all right, what can be improved for next time? I think that would be one improvement. Outside of that, I'm trying to think there wasn't really a moment where I'm sitting there going this needs to be better or that needs to be better. Yeah, I don't know.
Good question. They say they're going to rotate through the teams. Do you think they should do that, or do you think they should just pick 4 teams that are going to draw the biggest eyeballs?
Well, I think that they should rotate through top tier teams. I don't think they should rotate through bottom tier teams because it's you just can't afford to go over there and have a low quality match. I don't think they should pick the same 4 teams every year though. I think that's unfair on the fans. Think about there's a lot of fans of other teams that would have wanted to go over, but they're well, it's not my team. So I think they should rotate. And I know it's unfair, guys. I know if your team is in the bottom 4, and for example, the Broncos for years are in bottom 4, and I would still say the same thing. You just can't afford to have low quality games. So I think they should rotate through probably top 8 sides from the year before, maybe. And that's probably the best way to approach it. I know that's not fair, but life's not fair. It's about growing the game. It's about having the best spectacle, and I think that's probably the best angle.
The business world doesn't give a shit about fair and unfair, and nor does the financial statement that comes out of it. They have, for the next 5 years, 2 games to put on a show and sell this to America. It needs to be the best content, the best product that we can give them. And that is going towards those sides who are top 8 from the previous year or the year before that. Definitely rotate because I can't imagine clubs themselves would want to be doing it year in, year out for the next 4 or 5 years.
No way.
But the fans is the big one, mate. As you said, you want to give fans of other teams the opportunity to go and watch their team play over there. So,
Yeah, I think you'd rotate the top tier sides. And also it's a carrot for a bottom 8 side. Guys, you want to go to Vegas to make the top 8.
In terms of what can be improved, I was back home on the weekend for a wedding in Cooma, and I spoke to numerous mates at the pub about Vegas and what their thoughts were. And a lot of feedback that came back was saying, we love the concept, it's all good and well, but what about grassroots? What about country footy? How much money are they taking over to Vegas to grow the NRL? Why is this money not going to grassroots and country footy? And I said, very valid question. And I think just the answer is that, and if the NRL have come out and said this somewhere, apologies, but just being as transparent as they can, because they know there's going to be, people at the grassroots level and thousands of volunteers going, why are they spending millions and millions over there to America for something that realistically might never work. Whether the NRL come out and just clarify, all right, we're here to the plan, they're not going to reveal everything, but we're here to make this much money. When we do that, we'll be able to put this much money back into grassroots and country footy and continue to grow the game. They were pretty transparent about the whole plans in Vegas and what they were trying to achieve, but that's just speaking from first-hand to people, a few of the concerns.
Well, yeah, you'd have to assume the NRL are making money to be able to spend money to make the game strong. And look, I totally get why country, the heart of rugby league, country footy, you're sitting there going, hang on a sec, you guys just spent, I don't know, whatever, we'll just random number, $20, $30 million go over there. With $20 or $30 million in country, that changes fucking pretty much 2 states of country footy.
Yeah. Every group in New South Wales, Queensland, etc.
Yeah, I guess the business argument against that would be how much return could we potentially get for spending that money. And although we would shore up the grassroots, we would shore up the raid from AFL that is happening in the country and all that kind of stuff, would it be as much as the potential returns from America that we could get? So, for example, let's say we do make this work and somehow works. That's when you will have a huge war chest to go. Country footy is sorted. Now, I'm sure country footy has been promised a million times. When we make money, you're going to get it. So I understand why they would be, I guess, hesitant to believe that that's going to happen. But I agree with you. Let's hope that this is about making more money so that we can shore up the heartland of rugby league, I hope anyway. But it's a fair, the junior pathways, all that kind of stuff. It is a battle. And the amount of money that AFL have spent over the last 10 years on that is actually insane, insane. So it is something we have to be quite aware of, that you don't want to, you don't want to lose sight by going for the big shot and not getting the little stuff right. But outside of that, outstanding weekend. Best part of the weekend for you?
Sorry to Tigers fans, but I felt so much relief for Luke Brooks when he scored that late try to sort of, it was probably one at the time anyway, but I love Luke Brooks. He seems like such a good fella, and he's been fairly or unfairly criticised for the best part of a decade. It was just a really nice moment for a bloke who I think he's one of the good guys there. The amount of criticism he copped over the last decade, and he never bites back. He never says anything wrong. He cops it all on the chin. He goes out and has a crack and gives his best. It was just such a night. He got so excited. He was so revved up. It was just it was the moment I'm like, all right, this is the fresh start for Lukey Brooks, and hopefully he can make a fist of it. That was my favourite moment. Yeah,
it's a really good example, and it's only one game for sure, but geez, we always talk about it on here, and some people go, you don't hold players accountable enough for their form. I think we do hold them accountable, but there is always a caveat of environment matters. Who you're playing with in a team sport, it matters. On top of that, we also acknowledge that maybe Brooksy at the Tigers, there were I've said it anyway. I think there were years at the time at the Tigers where Brooksy himself, regardless of environment, looked disinterested and could have committed more. But I do think for most of the years of the Tigers, it was an environment thing rather than a Brooksy thing. But there were at least one or two where I was like, I don't think he's fully committed to this. I think that's a fair. I think we'd all probably agree with that. But incredible moment, Matty.
My favourite moment of the weekend was Jacob Gagai's debut. Debuting at 28 years old, he's waited so long. It would have been so much pressure because he's been waiting for this moment for so long. Not only that, to then go do it in Vegas. And he absolutely held his own. That try he scored was mad, where he beat the man on the outside. I thought, I love when people on debut score. It's really heartwarming stuff. So, Gagai's debut
and
was
he must have been thinking, maybe not, maybe believed himself the whole time.
No, he believed he was going to be New South Wales Cup player forever. That's what he thought.
Yeah, he's I'm stuck in this forever. Yeah. But there had to be, by that age, as you said, one of the oldest debutants ever for the Bunnies. There must have been points where you're going, am I ever going to get there? Yeah. And then to not only get there, but to do it, as you said, Matty, in Vegas, score a try.
Play well too.
Yeah, played real well.
Yeah. It was a great moment. My favourite part was I know there are more superstars, but the 4 superstars of Trell, Tommy, Walsh and Teddy just stood up. And obviously reminded us all that there are levels to this, but also just represented the game unbelievably. Like if you're an American that's watching that game, and I know the audience wouldn't have been big in America, guys. I know that like we're a tiny, minuscule fish in a huge sea. But if the few Americans are watching a guy like Latrell move the way he moved on the weekend and play the way he played, watching how Tommy played, watching Reece Walsh just fly across the ground, or Tedesco's effort on effort, that was my favourite part. The superstars stepped up.
No doubt. It's crazy how you could argue that even though Latrell was on the losing team, you could argue he was one of the best players of the weekend. It was just wild. And that's exactly what the NRL wanted. They needed their big dogs to step up. I thought a great moment as well was just Jason Saab coasting down the sideline.
Yeah.
Just got flicked by Lockie Ellis, which was a great tackle, by the way. But yeah, the superstar standing up was awesome.
The Saab one was good, wasn't it? And then when he took his intercept and ran away, and you blokes might know the quotes better than me. I only saw bits and pieces, but saying how like he wanted to go over there, show himself off, like his speed, his height, and all that to the NFL,
his physical
and
ability,
saying he's open to anything, and then just to see him steaming away and that, like, this is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Devo for him to use Hammy at the end of the game, but yeah, seeing him stride out, like if you're a fan of just physical specimens, it's just like doesn't get much better than that. So look, incredible week. I watched it all on KO, and I watched it in 4K. Gee, she was clear. Holy! I was like, I'm there. Big Trelly's running at me. I don't want to tackle that. Watch it all on KO. Vegas games were great. Now, don't forget, Wednesday, March 13th, rising super bantamweight contender Sam Goodman returns to the ring in hopes of continuing his run for a world title shot when he faces Mark Schliebs in the co-main event. Fan favourite Isaac Hardman will face Venezuelan Andre Saavedra, or exclusively on main event or with KO Sports. No KO subscription needed. Event details are in the show notes. But yeah, I watched it all on KO. Will say, did crash on me. So hopefully they sort that out, because that stung my poor little eyeballs. I was like, no, the rugby league is. I just had to reload and I was back in. But hopefully they can sort that out. But outside of that, it was good viewing.
Imagine
really
going
good.
into a boxing fight against a bloke with the nickname Head Splitter.
I know. Far out. It's actually like great Aussie boxing card. If you want to support Australian boxing and help it grow, this is how you do it. A lot of people want to sit there and get angry at footy players for jumping on boxing cards. You know why boxers jump on those cards? For exposure. So if you're one of those people that sit in the comment section and go, why do footy players always jump on these, boxing cards, and this boxer should be ahead of this, footy player, then support an Aussie boxing card. Now, it does have footy players on it, but they're lower down. They're lower down, and they're obviously not the headliners. And the other fighters on this are like Goodman, like a really good Australian boxer.
Are we getting Sandow v Carney 2.0 on the card?
Surely.
I've been waiting for that for a number of years.
One of the great all-time rumbles in the jungle. Now, let's get into it, before I get into it, just want to send a shout-out to the Gold Coast Titans and Tino Malawi, Jaden Campbell, Philip Sammy. I had my niece's 4th birthday on the weekend, and my nephew was there. So my sister's son, and he is a massive Gold Coast Titans fan. And so he goes down to the fan days, goes up to the games. And Tino, who doesn't know that that's my nephew. And my nephew loves him because my nephew is half Tongan. Obviously, I know Tino is Samoan, but he looks up to him, and also that my nephew is massive, like huge. And Tino knew, told the young fella thanks for coming because he'd remembered him from the other days. And I'm just like, is this guy the best bloke in rugby league? Like the fact that he can remember a young fella that's I think he's only 10 or 11 years old, had been the fan day before. He doesn't know that he's related to me at all. Jaden Campbell also was outstanding. Philip Sammy. So all those Gold Coast Titan boys, I just want to say a massive thank you. I know this happens literally every single weekend, but for me, as an uncle and seeing them talk about it all day at the family birthday on Saturday, it warmed me wee little heart. It warmed me wee little heart. So thank you to the Titans for making my nephew's day. He could not stop speaking about it. He even wore a Titans hat to the day, which is disrespectful to me. It's disrespectful to me. He was even whispering into Rain's ear, "Go Titans." Also disrespectful to me. But I'm willing to put my own emotions aside just to say thank you to the Titans boys for making my nephew's day really good. Now it is back, guys. It is back. We weren't going to leave you hanging. We weren't going to leave you hanging. I know a lot of people out there going, I've been hungry, Kempy, and I haven't been able to order. Menulog's Hungriest Player. It is back. back on board for 2024 season to kick off the year. This is how I'm going to say sorry for letting you down for the last couple months. Everyone who uses the Hungry Player code will go in the draw to win $200 credit on Menulog. That is right. So if you use this code that's about to come to you, you could potentially get $200 credit this week. The Hungriest Player. Now, there were some red hot applicants for this week, but I think everything surrounding this guy's playing, everything surrounding his career, where he is at, the Hungriest Player this week is Luke Brooks. Use code Brooks for free delivery on your order, plus you get a chance to win a $200 credit on Menulog. It's Brooksy. Watching him play in the first 10 or so, 15 minutes, I was like, ooh, I'm a bit worried here. He looks like I wouldn't say shell-shocked, but a little bit nervous to stamp his authority into the game. Then he hit the 20-minute mark, started running the ball, started swinging both sides, where you're sitting back going, oh shit, this Manly side, where you actually have to worry about Brooks and DCE turning up on both sides. Very, very scary. And then when he goes over for the try, it sealed it for me. I'm just so happy for him. I understand he's been on a big wicket for a long time. I get that. But the age-old saying, money can't buy happiness. And there were many years where it didn't look like Brooksy was happy. He is now, and look, I get it. As Tigers fans, you expect your number one player to deliver. I'm not discounting that at all. But from just a human level, to see him smiling, to see the way he played, Brooks is my English player of the week. Yeah,
the try to wrap up the Vegas round that he scored was just such a special moment for a bloke who sort of touched on it earlier, but has been criticised and just copped everything on the chin like a true professional and just a good bloke over the years. And there's the argument there that people say he's gone to Manly, he's not the head honcho anymore with Turbo and DC, the pressure's off. I think as a footballer, largely that's correct. The pressure is off. But at the same time, there's also people going, he goes to Manly, he's got his fresh start, he's with these stars. If he plays poorly, then it's like he's a fraud. We're right, he isn't a great player.
Yep.
The criticism at the time was warranted. And to come out and play the way he did, and just on top of that, we speak on this show so often about how hard it is to go to new clubs, particularly in the spine, and form combinations straight away. Mate, at times, Tommy Turbo, DCE, with Brooksy, they look like they've been playing together for years.
For sure. Like that drop under, I know that eventually Tom Trbojevic didn't score the try, but that timing takes a while to get. It really does. The double drop under with Ben Trbojevic to Tom Trbojevic, that takes a time. Like usually, put it this way. Look at the Broncos attack yesterday. Like it was clunky as shit. And they played together for a very long time. So Brooksy to come in and play and also just like knowing when to, I wouldn't say get in the way of DCE, but knowing when to just go, you know what, I'm going to swing this side.
Yeah.
Get me the ball. That first try, I know he didn't score the try, but that was on the right side of the field. He was predominantly on the left side. Little things like that. The scary thing for oppositions is this is just the beginning of this partnership. Imagine what it's going to be like round 20, round 21, if they can keep a forward pack together. What do you reckon, Matty?
Yeah, he fit right in, didn't he? And it was awesome to watch. The vibe I'm getting, I don't want to speak on behalf of people, but the vibe I'm getting on like social media and just comments about it is that people are willing him. Like people really, really want him to succeed. Like this is the Tigers Brooks divorce was the divorce that people have been longing to happen for a while now. So yeah, I was, even though I was against my team, I was stoked to see him play well, and I really, really, really hope he continues this for the year.
He had 19 runs. When was the last time Brooksy had 19 runs? Unbelievable. 19 runs, 102 metres, 2 tackle breaks, a line break assist, 24 tackles, only 2 misses. Yeah, so happy for him. And I think it's a really good point, Timmy, that of all the stories that were leaked about him, all of the different narratives and yarns that have been created around Brooksy because he's on this big wicket, I can't remember a controversy he's ever had. He's never got in a press conference and sat up there and sooked and, complained. He just copped it. And even when his own club was leaking stuff, he kind of come out and was like, it sucks that they keep leaking. I'm sure there is so much that we don't know that's happened in the Brooks story that he hasn't talked about. Yep. I promise you that.
And he's held his tongue the whole time. It's such a credit to him as a bloke and the way he's dealt with it all. So I just hope he has a big few years at the Manly Seagulls.
Yeah, really do. I mean, if you're a Manly fan, you must be looking at going, We haven't had a halves combo like this in since Foz, pretty much. Like outside of that, you've had makeshift 6 guys that have come and gone. So very exciting. So Brooks, use code Brooks. That is BROOKS for free delivery on your order, plus a chance to win a $200 credit voucher. Okay. All right. It is time to get into it then. Manly defeats South 36-24. Great win for Manly. Look, we'll get the obvious out of the way. Defence for both sides wasn't great. But from an attacking perspective, the fact that they were gelling as quickly as they would, I would say that South looked substantially more clunky in attack than Manly. But as South do, they managed to find a way. That way often is Latrell Mitchell just going, give me the ball. But yeah, Manly defeating South 36-24. I thought Manly looked outstanding. I thought that they looked in sync. They had set plays. There was twos and fro's in this game, so it wasn't like there was just, a first 20 minute of a battle and then momentum was swung to one team and then they just held it. It was genuinely every probably 15 minutes the momentum would swing either way. Their ability to stay in the game, to hang in there. I thought Manly, it's a great start to the year against so you've got Jackie Whiten, Campbell out, Shaq Mitchell. Who else? That's
Munro,
Fringy. So we'll go with, those 3 players. But Munro probably would have pushed. Yeah, so Munro, but not a crazy amount out. So that's definitely not an excuse as to why they lost. Great win for Manly. Seabold, notorious fast starter. So it will be about can you maintain this for, 20, 26 rounds. But all in all, a really, really good start for Manly, and I think that Manly fans should be incredibly proud of the opening round for their team.
Yeah, I think the first thing, and touching on the defence as being a little bit leaky, is that one of the big watches going into Vegas was how was this narrower field going to impact the game, and in particular the attack. I think it had a big impact on the attack, and I think they knew that was coming in, and that's why the referee, the interpretations, were a bit light on, and that they didn't blow the whistle too often. So, people say there was, 60 points scored in the game, so that's ridiculous. For the first game of the season, they completed at, I think it was 80% and 78%. There was 6 penalties for the entire game. The Bunnies' first one, as I mentioned before, was in the 73rd minute. So I think where we saw the attacks being a little bit not off maybe the Bunnies at times, there wasn't a lot of clean busts down the edges. There was a lot of busts through the middle because when the fatigue got into the game, there were blokes just out on their feet because no match fitness. Yep. Half the boys had played a trial here or there, it might be, but the attacks were pretty good. Defence was questionable for both of them, but again, it was played at such a frantic speed on that really thin. What was it, AstroTurf or grass?
No, it was grass, but it was a very
really
fast track.
Thin, fast track. So this isn't the way a normal football game is going to be adjudicated or played when they get back to Australia. So willing to turn a little bit of a blind eye to the points conceded for both sides, give or take the Bunnies in the back line a little bit. We'll get to that shortly. But yeah, mate, the Manly Seagulls, their attack was outstanding. We just spoke about Brooksy, Tommy Trbojevic. When he came back last season, he was jogging around, didn't push that hammy. He looked frightening.
I think Manly as well, they left a few tries out there.
They did.
Their attack was outstanding. Ben Trbojevic got with the Bs right at the start. The Saab break, they could have scored off that, but Cherry Evans knocked the ball on. There was another one, they left a few points out there. Equally, there was some good, even though the defence was very questionable, there was some great scramble defence by South. Cookie had a great one, Cam had a great one, Trell had a great one. That's a kind of positive as well, but it was just a great attacking game to watch, wasn't it?
Okay, on the Manly side, Ola Kawatu.
Before you get into individual performance, you mentioned, and you've said it before, Seabold coach teams notoriously start fast. Manly looked so fit coming into this game, and Big Ola, he was the number one. I'm Ola Kawatu looked so fit and ready to go for round one. And, just on the eye test, and I think probably the way the game sort of blew out a little bit towards the back end with Manly, they looked physically more ready to go than the Bunnies. And you alluded to it, Siebes does this a lot with his sides.
Yeah, well, you look at both sides. So Trent Robertson basically vowed to start the season fast. Seabold, notorious fast starter. Both those teams absolutely looked in better nick than their opposition. There were times in the Rabbitohs, you could tell they were blowing and there wasn't many people, which is like a testament for them to hang in like the way they did. Same with the Broncos. There were times where they looked a bit out of it. Well, not a bit out of it, very out of it, fitness-wise. So it's the age-old question. Do you want to start fast, but then are you peaking at the right time? I think in both cases with the Broncos and the Rabbitohs, they did a good enough job where I don't think you should be concerned about their fitness hitting the right, mark that it needs to hit by round 5, 6, 7. But yeah, back to Manly. Yeah, they look super fit. At no point with that Manly side did I think, they're quite a lot of people are gassed. The LDV T60 is one of the most powerful utes in its class, possessing 160 kilowatts of grunt. Our power play of this week goes to Hamole Olakawatu. 1 try, 1 line break, 181 metres, 97 post contact, 6 tackle breaks. The LDV has 160 watts of grunt, which makes it one of the most powerful utes in class. The LDV is a sharply priced option from $36,990. Drive away for ABN holders during the LDV 2023 plate clearance, making it ideal for those considering buying a new ute or even those considering buying a second-hand competitor. At that price, why go second-hand when you can have a brand new LDV? So he had a try, 16 runs for 181 metres, 97 post contact, 6 tackle breaks, a line break, 32 tackles, an offload. He was honestly an absolute nightmare. Every single time he ran the ball, even as a viewer, I'm sitting there like, oh shit, something's going to happen. He absolutely terrorised that edge. Another thing that is really in Manly's favour is they had a plan to attack the left edge of the Rabbitohs, and they absolutely nailed it. And it seems like such a simple thing where you go, well, of course, teams go into games with game plans. I can tell you right now, the amount of games I've played where we have a game plan that we never even go close to using because of the heat of the battle and all that kind of stuff. What's exciting for Manly is they absolutely had a game plan and they stuck to it. Like very clearly, they identified Kenner as a fringe first grader that's coming in. They identified Gagai, who was also a rookie, even though I thought he played really well. Cody Walker, although an okay defender, not necessarily known as a strong defender. And they just went there all day, and Olakawatu had an absolute field day.
They nailed it, didn't they? And, it was clear as daylight going into the game that they were going to target that edge. And, you look at Ilias, defensive questions at times. They got through both edges because they were so good, but their Jai Arrow, a new edge partner, we said last week we think he'd been shifted edges and Kyle Matei went to the other edge so that Arrow could help out Ilias, but again, a new defensive combination. Tass and Kenner both struggled in the centres. Gagai in his first game in the NRL on the wing. There was defensive frailties, but as I said, you've got to be a good team to exploit it at any time. How potent is both edges, but how's Ola going to go running off Daly Cherry Evans and he's steaming into a hole, blokes looking at him, and then they see Tom Trebojevic sliding out the back going, if I give either of these two an extra inch, they're scoring. Yeah,
well, you saw that in the scrum.
Yeah.
The try that he scored, I'm pretty sure Tommy swings from the other side to make it look like a Tom Trebojevic play, which spreads the defence just that little bit more because they're like, oh shit, Tommy's going to be getting the outside, and just bang, straight through him. And also, Olakawatu, even though I thought Keon still had a solid game, I didn't think he was bad, but who won the battle? It was Olakawatu won that battle.
And there's every chance those two boys are playing for the one origin spot.
Yep.
And one game into the season, Ola, I watched that whole thing and every Blues fan would have been the same, just going, holy hell, if he keeps his form up. And it's only one game sample. It's not a one game sample size because we've seen him do similar enough for Manly the last couple of years, but that was the best he's ever looked. If he can continue that towards Origin, that form, geez, he's going to do some damage.
Yeah, and it's every time he runs the ball. Every time he runs the ball, he's bending the line. You very rarely see him on the edge where he kind of just takes up. The only time it happens, and I think Keon in the first half also did this, they just sometimes, and I'm being hyper nitpicky here with both these boys, sometimes they have a tendency to try to crab across field because they're so used to being able to like fan, offload, all that good stuff. Sometimes I would just, if I'm a coach, and we're actually Keon really straightened his running up in the second half, I would say for every crab across field run you have, I want 2 or 3 straight and hard runs and don't even think about offloading. And I think that's what we saw eventually with both those players, especially in the second half. They just went, boom, I'm just straightening up, and it just bent the line every time.
We use this example all the time, but it's Dave Fafita. And, Fafita had issues with his sort of, I think, attitude on field and his output at different times a couple of years ago. And last season he just went and just said, nah, I'm just focusing on running the ball and running that hard back row line. Kalamatangi and Olakuatu, they don't have that issue. But you're right, they can crab at times. They should never forget that they're both lean, just beasts who can run a great line. And if they run a great line, especially Olakuatu off Cherry Evans, no one's stopping him.
Watching the game yesterday, like every time he touched the ball, as you said, he bent the line back and it just completely changes the momentum of a set, right? I just did the maths. He had 16 runs and 97 post-contact meters. Averaging that out, that's 6 post-contact meters every run for the entire game, which is ridiculous.
Every time they got it to him, you could tell the Rabbitohs left edge was like, we don't know how to handle this big boy.
They get a quick play of the ball through the guts, which off the back of the runs Tommy Trebojevic has and Taniela Paseka, and they've got a defence retreating, and Ches, who's one of the best in the NRL at doing it, can get Ola one-on-one with his half, whoever it is in the comp, 10 metres from the line. There's not a chance you're stopping the big fella.
He's just too big and explosive, plus he has footwork. Yeah. He's just unbelievable. So I tell you what, if you're an edge back rower heading into this year that you want to play Origin, like that's the benchmark.
Yeah.
At the moment, obviously he has to do this week in, week out, but at the moment, that's the benchmark that's been set of like Origin level back rower.
Individual performances, one-offs, like a game like that from Ola, he's probably the number 1 edge back row pick, 80 minutes for the Blues. He needs to do it week in, week out and maintain this form leading into Origin, because last season he did similar early on. He killed it when the pressure was on and we needed him to stand up because there was back row spots on the line and he didn't quite lift. All right, mate, you're a year older, a year wiser. Let's see it all for the first 12 weeks.
Massive performance from Olakuatu. I want to talk about Ben Trebojevic, mate. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. He looks so fit. It's unbelievable. Like the amount of just effort on effort that he was making. I was watching him quite closely. He genuinely, if he stays injury free and he keeps playing like this, he won't lose his spot. I just don't know how you can get Schuster in that jersey while Ben Trebojevic is playing like that.
Yeah. The boy's become a man, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
Over the off-season. And like last season, he just looked like this, the little baby-faced, younger Trebojevic brother.
Yep.
Seeing him out there and seeing him fire up at, do you remember who it was? One of the Bunnies players on the sideline there.
Maybe Ilias?
Somewhat. No, it was one of the bigger boys. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong. But
someone got dragged out or something like that, and there was a bit of a push and shove.
I thought it was one of the bigger boys, and you just see him there, and then big brother Tommy comes in and sort of pulls him away, and that Benny Trebojevic is fired up. And you just go, this kid's become a man, and geez, he looks good.
He looks good, and he looks agile, super fit, good in contact, nearly scored multiple times. Mm-hmm. Also, that partnership with Tommy coming down that edge as well. So they're going to be way in sync. I can't stress enough. That double drop underplay, that is hard to nail the way they nail. That's not an easy, your timing has to be perfect, absolutely perfect.
Shout out to the video ref on that as well. And they I think might have been Cam Murray. And they said, he's made the defensive decision to go in on him. As it was unfolding, you're just sitting there going, they're going to take this away. Straight away, made the defensive decision. Gap opens up. You're like, bravo.
Great call. Was it Cookie's try? Was that Cookie's try saver?
Cookie saved it on turbo.
Unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
Unbelievable
As a
from Cookie.
Tom Trebojevic, Supercoach owner, my heart broke.
So Ben Trebojevic, I just can't, this is his first game this year. I can't wait to see him round 10, 11, 12.
And to be fair, just kept getting injured the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He was getting chances, but just couldn't stay on the field. So
it gets exciting for Manly because if Schuster can come back and hit the potential we know he can, him coming off the bench, it rounds out the forward pack dramatically.
how good is this?
And Lodge coming back too.
How good is this for Josh Schuster to light a fire in his belly to go, if you don't perform, you're playing New South Wales Cup.
Yeah.
We've signed you on the money, so be it, but, you know, there looked like there was an edge spot there, certainly up for grabs, and they needed Josh Schuster to fire to be there and complete the team. Now they've got Ben Trebojevic, like, if you don't perform, we don't need you. We'll be all right. We've got
and Ben's young.
Yeah.
So it's not like an older guy that...
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if Schuster does respond and comes back and he's fit and he fires, and that's a headache, who to start, like, good place to be.
And we know how good Schuster can be. Like, we know, like, then it becomes like, when you get Lodge back, a firing Schuster back, all of a sudden this forward pack goes from concerns around it to, oh, okay, I think this is a forward pack that can get the job
the
done.
other thing, when Schuster does come back, I touch on this with squad makeups quite often, but having Ben Trebojevic, who can slot in at centre and anywhere in the back line, not anywhere in the back line, but in particular centre, as well as he can as a back rower. And when Schuster's back there, to have that coverage and have one of the, at his best 5'8" in the game as cover for the halves, that squad is so well rounded.
Yeah.
You've got Lawton off the bench, who I've always been a fan of Lawton, another one with so many injuries, but again, played minimal games last year and beat off some good competition at Manly to get that utility role, who can come in and play number 9 but be just as effective as a 13. It's a well-rounded squad.
Also a very strange way to win a spot. Beating off the competition.
I heard that as well.
Well, look, mate.
Whatever's going on at Manly, it's working.
Can be, as a former elite sportsman, you should know you've got to do what you've got to do to get to the top. And Manly boys are beating each other.
I respect it, Lord. I respect it, baby. By any means necessary, getting to that side.
How like that Ben Trebojevic edge now, how good does it look with like Brooks there, Ben Trebojevic, and then Cooler? Every time he touched the ball.
He looks electric.
Oh, my God.
You know what else? We got a roaming cooler.
How good was that?
In the pre-season, I was like, am I just this arcade dude who's got this idea in his head and it's just never going to happen again?
Yeah.
And Tim, you're an idiot. And I'm like, probably. And then Kohler started to roam at different stages in that game. Joey Marner was doing it for the Roosters. And I'm just like, they're finally starting to listen.
I think Cooler played the ball to Garrick once or twice in that game. And then there's opposite centre.
How good did it look?
It was great.
Yeah, and also, all it does is add to Tom Trebojevic, because then you've got to be like, you know, if you stack a short side or a certain side because Tommy's there, but it's actually Cooler that's getting the ball. But look, he didn't get the line break that, you know, we're all kind of all hoping he did every time he ran the ball. But you add an extra 5 metres onto that field with a guy like Cooler, and he has an extra metre to get across. All of a sudden, those almost line breaks he had become line breaks. Gee, I think he's in for a big year. He looks, how much more confident does he look than, you know, even just 12 months ago?
I just think the 2 games at the end of last season, Bulldogs and Tigers, they were beaten up, they were battered, they were fielding half a New South Wales Cup squad, and Manly, who were a pretty strong side, they put them to the sword, and Cooler at fullback just destroyed them. Okay, sure, they were weak in the lineups. You're not going to get those every week in the NRL. But Cooler, I reckon, as a player in those 2 games, just went, I'm better than everyone, not everyone out here, but like I can be the best player on the field.
Yep.
And it showed like the confidence levels are high.
I thought it was a good sign for Manly as well. Like they, time and time again, when they were on kind of attacking, they gave him early ball. And even though he didn't make those line breaks, that's where he's most dangerous. Give him a little bit of space, he's going to be electric this year.
It's a quick play the ball too. A lot of people don't realise, like, if he nearly makes a break, it's a quick play the ball. So the next one, quick hit up, go again. Now Jason Saab. Was awesome to see him, you know, score the try and all that. Devo for him that he got injured. So you'd say Tommy Talau will probably come in the side. Garrett goes to the wing, you think?
I'm not convinced. I hope so. Like me and Matty were speaking off air before the show. We both love Garrett as a winger. I think his best position is on the wing. So, logically speaking, he goes to the wing and Tommy Taylor comes in at centre. If it was only ever one injury away from going back to... I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'm just trying to think who else they have as a winger at that level.
Yeah, they'd probably bring in that Raymond Vega.
Oh, yeah, Vega.
Yeah.
So I just think that you're probably a stronger backline with Talau at centre and Garrick. Because Talau's not a winger. I just, don't think he is. Specialist centre, I don't think. So I think surely you go Garrick on the sting, Talau.
I personally would rather that be the full strength side anyway.
Yeah,
put
same.
Talau at centre and put Garrick on the wing and Jackson Bowler makes way. Personally, that's what I think.
I'd do the same.
I mean, yeah. So it's going to be interesting what they do there. I'm just excited to see Tommy Talau. I thought he looked great in the trials. We all know he's got like crazy potential. But yeah, a real key is like, geez, they look fit. Like even Brooksy looked like he'd lost a keg or two.
They all looked
like super fit. DCE, first half I was a bit like, oh, a little bit quiet from DCE. I'm a bit surprised. He usually owns these big games. Second half, he just literally took the game by the throat and said, all right, this is what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Nailed it.
Wasn't that just a mastery in game management from DCE? The wily old veteran, what, he'd nearly be 35 now, getting towards if he's not. He just had it on a string. And his kicking game in that second half on a smaller field, just all dimensions were weird. Everything was out of whack. Didn't worry him one bit. We saw a few kickers struggle, like a lot of balls going dead, different sorts of things. DCE, it was beautiful to watch that second half.
So good.
Oh, no.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
Only been one team. Also, just quickly, I thought Croker was outstanding. Jeez, he's a battler. Fuck, he's a battler. Manly's bench, really, really good. Going into the game, that was a concern I had, was their bench. Nathan Brown coming off the bench, and Ethan Bullimore to an extent too, that just explosive running, because that's the one thing I thought that they were lacking prior to the bench coming on. I thought through the middle they were just a bit, because they were so big, they're just not as explosive and quick, and I felt like that's where Rabbitohs were kind of getting a little bit of a roll on. As soon as Nathan Brown came on, all changed. Momentum completely changed. We spoke about it earlier, but he might be some like a value of the season.
I think if he can stay fit and stay in the park, in 6 months' time, we're talking about him as the value recruit of the season, because they wouldn't have got him on March. And
he only just got put into the top 30.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I find it crazy.
Why?
Like, he has always been a gun. Even when he was at South, he's always been a gun. Obviously, he did his best work when he was at the Eels. But yeah, the last 2 years have been quite weird. Like, he was only in Origin a few years ago. He's a gun.
Yeah. I thought at the Roosters last year, though, in his limited opportunity there, he was great. He runs with so much aggression. He brings that anger and that, prick attitude to the game that every side and every pack needs. He runs a million miles an hour and bends the line. I think he's one of the most underrated ball-playing locks in the game. I think he's got a beautiful passing game, Nathan Brown, which is so vital in this side when they've got good link men, DC, Brooks, who can hopefully stand a bit wider, to have that good service through the middle in Nathan Brown. He came out and he played big minutes in this game. I'm so excited for him this year, and as you mentioned, I was about to say Kempy, just that punch off the bench, really excited for him. And who knows, we might get to a point where, again, 1 game sample size, but I've liked what I saw from him last year as well. He could be a starting lock for them, and Jake Jaboyevich goes to that, starts as front rower.
Yeah. And what I like about the makeup is this is good selections from Seabold with Bullimore and Brown. They are a type of player. They're not the biggest, but they're super mobile and explosive, so they get quick play the balls. And that's exactly what they did. That's a good tactical decision from Seabold, rather than going, you know what, I want to have 3 big boppers off the bench. Rather, I'm going to have not as big boppers, but the tempo of the game's going to increase. I thought he nailed it. He nailed it. So
and then Sipley to come back in as well.
Sipley to come back in, Lodge to come back in,
Schuster.
Hopefully if he gets back to his best. The concern, not the concern, the question will be with Manly is, yes, for sure, we know they have a top 8 side. Can they do it? Consider injuries, everything that happens throughout the year. Can they do it for 26 rounds? That's the big question. There's no doubt that this side absolutely has the ability to be in the top 8. And even Tom Trbojevic, we haven't even spoken about him that much yet. You can't tell me that he doesn't look way freer running in this game than he did when he came back last year.
At no point did he look restricted.
Zero. He looked as ready as he's ever looked in his best years. He looked, and yes, there were a few tries he probably would have scored, in his year where he killed it. But it's just a bit of rust. Those tries will come by round 4, 5, 6.
He didn't get out of first gear last season until about round 11. Conveniently, it was against the Raiders and tore us to shreds. Picked a great game for it, Tommy. straight up. And I mentioned last week, but it was a pec injury last year. He got through those 11 games. His hammies were sweet. That's always the concern. So in terms of running and doing all that, he hasn't missed a beat in the off-season.
28 runs.
Yeah.
And they're all usually quality too. His ability to pick the right moment to run the ball is it's honestly second to none, to be honest. Like, it's unbelievable.
He's in for such a big year.
Yeah.
God, it's exciting.
It's so good. It's just, look, this Manly side, very exciting. Dark horse. Like, we had our preseason predictions. It was all headed around, can Tommy stay fit? What will Brooks do? What will their forward pack look like? Right now, it's looking good.
I saw enough as well on the week, because like in the past it's been, and even probably in our season preview, saying if Tommy stays fit for the season, they're premiership contenders. If he doesn't, probably don't have him in our top 8. Again, it's only one game, but I think I saw enough and I liked enough, particularly with Brooksy and his impact on the team, to say that even if, God forbid, Tommy Turbo gets injured, with Kohler, with Garrick who can slot in at fullback, they can still make the 8. They can still push for the 4. Tommy's still the piece that can win them a premiership. But you can say that about nearly every team in the comp. If they lose their best player, they can't win a comp. So, but great signs.
Great signs for Manly. Great signs. Now onto the Rabbitohs. Look, you could clearly see they definitely missed Campbell Graham. They definitely missed Jackie Whiten. I know Kenner ended up scoring 2 tries, the first one, and that's a great moment for him. But unfortunately, wasn't a good game from Kenner. Made some really silly errors, especially one in the first half. Rabbitohs had just wrangled back momentum, and then he just goes to tackle a dude in the air or runs into him as he's catching it. It's just very, very silly errors.
Tommy Turbo, wasn't he? Went up for it and he just whacked him earlier. I said, mate, what are you doing?
And basically, so just got me notes here. Just let me go back up here, please. 2 seconds. I wrote Kenner, fuck me dead. So, and look, every player makes mistakes. So no one's perfect. Everyone makes errors. But that was just a silly error. Manly then went back up to the end and scored with the Ola Kawatu try. And basically since then, Manly wrangles back momentum. Cook has to try-saving tackle. And so, a big call there. And then also later in the match, another error coming out of his own end, I think.
Yeah.
And it was just in a crucial time. So hopefully he can just get that out of his game.
Well, that also led to a try. So out of Manly's 6 tries, 4 of them were off the back of a Rabbitohs error or penalty.
Yeah.
Which is
something
to...
and you just have to ask yourself, if that was Campbell Graham, if that was Jackie Whiten, maybe they would make that error. I'm not sure. But just an unfortunate night for the big fella. So hopefully he can bounce back, because he'll still be in the side next week, I'd assume.
He'll play next week.
The week after.
Yeah.
So hopefully the big fella can bounce back, but it wasn't the best night for him.
I'm not too critical of the Bunnies as a whole and losing the game, because they were good signs in attack, conceded a lot of points, but as I said, the way the game was refereed, it's different to what will be happening in their next game in round 2. Boy, they missed their centres though. And even long term, it's such an issue. So they'll get Jack Whiten back. He'll slot in expected at left centre. Tuss, we assume, will probably stay at right centre. Kenner probably drops out. Because of that right edge defensively for them, it's such an easy target for oppositions. They've got so much attack in them, the Bunnies. Scoring points is never going to be an issue. The attack's also a lot of it going to go down that left edge. Cody, Klamatangi, Jack Whiten, Alex Johnston, obviously. The right edge is going to see a lot less, especially without Campbell Graham there. Whether it's Kenner, whether it's Tass, where the Gagai slots into centre, they almost just need to pick the best defensive centre to shore up that edge once they've got everyone on deck, because they'll score enough points to beat anyone in the competition. But, a bit like the Sharkies last year, where their left edge just conceded almost all their points, they need to shore it up.
Yeah.
Because Tass, who will probably be the centre longer term while Campbell Graham is out, he had some really poor defensive reads as well. I think it was for the Benny Trebojevic try, maybe for the Croker one as well. Big problem area for you, Matty.
They don't have long to fix it too, because Souths play Brisbane in round 2. So Brisbane are just going to have the exact same game plan as Manly are. Going to attack those that edge for sure.
All right, what a Brisbane rolling into Roosters into a Rabbitohs. Jesus.
Yeah, it's a tough stuff.
Something. So, look, the good thing is we have seen Tass play good footy, so I'm confident Tass can sort that out. Outside of that, we'll do negatives first, and then we'll get into the positives. I guess I just felt that, like, just key moments let them down, and it sounds such an obvious thing to say, but when you actually watch the game, the Rabbitohs did a really good at wrestling momentum back. Like, for the first 10 to 15 minutes, they were under the pump from Manly. And also, they had desperate try-saving tackles, desperate cover tackles. But it was just like in key moments where they just needed to build a bit of pressure, just to hold on to the ball, they just had that error or whatever. Look, I'm trying to... Bench-wise, I thought their bench wasn't as impactful as Manly's bench. Tommy Burgess had some good runs initially, but outside of that, I think Mawali came on. He had some good runs, but he had an error as well. And look, these errors happen, so it's not like...
Yeah, I think I'm willing to cut them a bit of slack so I just think physically Manly looked better prepared. And as I said, every coach has a different preparation, and this is clutching at straws a bit, but the Bunnies, who started flat out last year, I think they were first on the table after 11 rounds, has their... Don't get me wrong, they didn't look bad, but they ran out of steam in that. Like, they led by about 10 or so points 46 minutes into the game, and you're going, all right, they look brilliant. But the back end of the game, Manly got a roll on, and they ran out of steam, the Bunnies.
What I will say, and I'm with you, like, I'm not sitting here going, oh, this is, well, you're like, watch out, this is terrible. Rabbitohs fans, be concerned. Not at all. But I just think that the good things about it were that there were like a lot of scramble from the Rabbitohs, that is a sign of a committed playing group. So all the other little things like errors, repeat sets, like making the right decisions at the right times, that'll come as the season goes. Like, as the season progresses, all that will come together. What you don't want is players making breaks and everyone just looking around going, for example, and I know Lockie Ellis had a bit up and down game, but that cover tackle on Saab was incredible.
Yeah, it turns out Lachlan Ellis is actually the quickest player in the NRL, so that's a big boost.
That's a positive.
Yep.
That's a positive. I'm just trying to look here.
I was pretty happy with 60 of the 80 minutes. There was just that 20 minute period where they just kept making errors and then they couldn't defend the error. And I'm not just like Cam Murray and Jason Demetrio. That's all they talked about after the game in the press. They were like, we got to defend our errors. Like, that's just rule number one. So I reckon there was probably more good signs than bad.
Oh, for sure. Like, it's just errors in key moments that hurt you. And also, you were up against a Manly side that was red hot. Like,
they were good.
Ready to start fast.
Yeah. If that team stays together and stays fit, they're going to put some scorelines on this season, Manly.
Yep.
They're such a momentum side. Like, when they've got their tails up, as South Sydney found out in that last 20 minutes, they'll be near unstoppable. It's not always going to happen, and even in 2021 when they scored that record-breaking amount of points and it got to the finals and they got, I think, they didn't go out in straight sets. I think they might have won one, lost two, and they lost in the
prelim.
Lost in the prelim. But the better sides found them out and they shut down Tommy Turbo and they couldn't get that momentum going. But they're going to put some scorelines on some of the lower teams. Jeez.
Yeah. Now, some positives for the Rabbitohs. Just quickly, something funny. So the average play the ball speed was 3:49 seconds and 3:64 for Manly. And in the grand final, I think it was 3:39 seconds for both Penrith and the Brisbane Broncos. So 60 minutes into that Super League World Cup challenge, the play the ball speed for Penrith was 4 seconds.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
It ended up changing because, like, I think the ref was like,
yeah, we got to work this out.
We got to fucking work this out. But yeah, it was at one stage it was 4 seconds. Oh. Anyway, that's aside. Now, some positives for the Rabbitohs. Cam Murray, holy shit, he does not stop. But the biggest positive, Latrell Mitchell is an absolute monster. The plays that he was putting on, like his physical shape, what he looks in at the moment, he looks ready to go. He looks like he just reminded us that there are levels in this game. There are truly levels in this game. And Latrell Mitchell at his best is at the top level of all time. In regards to, I'm not saying that he is the greatest player of all time, but what I'm saying is, in his position of an outside back, at his best, he is as good as anyone that's played the game, in my opinion. And we saw it on the weekend. Just the ability to go, I threw that intercept just before halftime. I'm angry. I'm going to put on 2 tries for my team. He was outstanding. He was engaged in the game. He looks great. I think, and people will try to look towards, they'll look at the intercept or towards the end of the game where he was trying things and didn't work out. It's like, look, and this is no disrespect to the Rabbitohs, but without Latrell Mitchell on that side, you just get beaten by, what do you reckon, 20 points?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like Latrell Mitchell was single-handedly creating things, not off like people putting him in space, like genuinely big plays that only him and a few other people can do in the game. I thought he was incredible.
What about his left to right to Gagai for that try?
Yeah, just the week after we say Scotty Drinkwater's the best ball-playing fullback in the competition, Charlie Mitt at 6'3", 100 kilos, just goes fucking zings it. Unbelievable. And also, the finer details of that pass that people don't understand is that he knew that he didn't have time for it to be a higher ball. So if you go and watch that, it's actually spinning. First of all, it's quite flat, and it's actually spinning downwards because that's specifically put in that spot knowing that the winger can't break stride. He has to hit the ball just straight on. Plus also he needs to be able to, like when he grabs it, have footwork to be able to beat the winger into the corner. Like if he had done a normal spiral where you put it up a little bit higher to make, it's a much easier pass to just like kind of float it over there. Way easier pass, but he's gone, nah, there's no time for that because if I do a higher pass, that he gets bundled into the touchline. Amazing ball playing.
There was never for a second any doubt that Latrell wasn't going to go and light up in Vegas because he loves the big stage. He loves a big game. And when he wants to have a crack, and when I say that lightly in that we compare him to the best fullbacks in the game like Teddy and Turbo, who would just have the most incredible engines on them and attitudes. It's almost an unfair comparison because Latrell is not that kind of player. But when Latrell wants to be on and give it 101%, he can't be stopped. And he knows that. Yeah. And he showed that. And an example of that is throwing that intercept and going, okay, I've now got to make up for that. Bang, bang, gets him back into the game. He just looked, the whole week, even interviewed, he looked calm, he looked relaxed, he looked happy, he looked fit, as you said, so fit. He just looks like there's been a little fuse lit in him. I don't know if it's his good mate Jackie White and getting up there or whatever the words have gone into him, but he looks ready to do something special this year, Latrell.
Yeah. It's like the try he scored. Just goes, all right. And that's what I loved about his game too. He was run first at times. How many times do I sit up there and go, I want Trell running the ball? Like he is the best. Again, another part of his game, one of the best outside backs ball runners literally ever. Like when he is running hard and straight with a goal in mind, there is no stopping him. The bump on Jake Trbojevic, we're talking about Jake Trbojevic, who is not arguably, one of the best tacklers of this generation. Like, find me a better defensive player than Jake Trbojevic. There may be some that are as good, but there aren't many better. And Troll just goes, nah, thanks for coming, bump, see you later. Then Lockie Croker tries to sack him, nah, thanks for coming, see you later. Then the try as well, just going bomb off the right foot and going. It's even like he didn't make a decision to try and score. He made a decision that he is going to score. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You could see from the body language, he ducks his head immediately and just beelines it for the ground. He was outstanding. And yes, the Trell haters are going to be, he threw the intercept, this, that, and the next thing. Look, if you can't just sit back and go, he played incredible, like, you're just a hater. Like, you don't have to love Trell. You don't have to love him. And when he plays poorly, like he had some bad games last year, you can, by all means, say he played poorly. But to say he wasn't incredible yesterday, I don't know what to say.
On the intercept, I was watching with a couple of people, none of them Rabbitohs fans, but they were like Latrell. And we kind of, when he threw the intercept and we're like, damn. Well, like, the amount of cutouts that he attempts and nails is so criminally underrated. I don't remember the last time he's thrown an intercept.
Yeah.
And I'm like, mate, he's got one wrong out of probably like 20 or every 20 or 30. Like I was willing to give him a pass for one error because he normally absolutely nails that cutout.
And well, he got it wrong because he gets so many right. Saab, that was preempted by Saab. Like that was, Trell's coming down my edge. We know he usually cuts not very rarely, but Trell doesn't usually hit that short ball. So that was preempted by Saab, and it's a great play by Saab. But, yeah.
And that's it, Matt. It'll be easy to say at the end of the season if he throws 5 of those, people go, I need to sort that pass, and he keeps doing it. But if he throws one runaway intercept pass like for a try for every 10 that he nails, cop it, who cares? Because you don't want to discourage him from throwing that pass.
Well, it's in the same game it happened. He let that try in, then scored 2.
Yeah.
Like as in, he scored one himself, then he set one up with what? A big cutout ball. So it's like, definitely cancels itself out. He was amazing. I know that he's polarizing or whatever, but come on, guys. Like, that was incredible what he did. Now, in regards to other players in Rabbitohs, I thought Cam Murray was really good. Like, seriously, the amount of work this bloke gets through and just the quality of the work that he gets through. Every time he needs to, every time there's a clean-up tackle, wherever it is on the field, he just appears. He literally just appears out of thin air. Who else stood out for you boys?
Just one thing. I think the cutout was just before the intercept. Not that it matters that much, but I'm sure people will comment.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I just had a look there. The Gagai try was 30th minute. Saab was 37. But then
didn't he lay on 2 tries in the second half? His try and then he laid a try on, didn't he?
I don't know.
The Saab intercept was
2 try assists. Yeah, 2 try assists.
Oh, sorry.
And then he threw he threw for the Gagai pass was the 30th minute, and then the Saab try was 37th.
But then he had another try assist.
He scored just after the Saab try again. And then did he throw the pass to Alex Johnston?
I thought that was mostly Kolomatangi.
That was Cody, I reckon. I reckon Kolomatangi hit Cody and Cody hit AJ. Could be wrong. Anyway.
Well, he's got 2 try assists. I could have sworn it was after. Man, off my head.
I'll have a look.
Have a look.
I'll have a look.
Yeah, because he does have 2. He's listed down here as 2 try assists. Regardless, it's still 2 try. I mean, put it this way. Statistically, he has 3 try involvements. His try and 2 try assists.
Yeah.
Anyway, anyone else stood out for you boys?
I think just we've touched on him a little bit, but Jacob Gagai's debut was really good, and I think because of a few poor defensive reads inside him, the edge got torn apart a little bit at stages, but I actually thought Gagai was strong coming out of his own end. His finish for the try was terrific. I thought he had a really well-rounded debut, and you'd be happy with it.
Yeah, my bad. So the Gagai one was before, but then in the second half, Trell scored, and then the AJ try, it was Kolomatangi's beautiful hands to Latrell, who did beautiful hands to AJ.
Incredible fuck.
Yeah.
Those hands, are you kidding me?
Didn't it just look like... And I was a little bit sceptical of Kolomatangi going to the left, and I still am, to be fair, because I think they play out the back so often, and I just don't know if he will get utilised enough on that left edge. But when he threw that pass, it just looked so natural.
Yeah.
And you go, all right, if they get Kolomatangi chiming in with, and he's all of a sudden got this really good right to left passing game, another attacking, not just runner, but creator on that edge.
Well, you basically, if you're going to do that, the other side, you basically need to pick an entire edge on defence.
Yeah.
Because, you've just got too good of an attack on that side to worry.
That's what I'm sort of saying. I'm just like, whoever the best centre is defensively to come in there and do a job, let's be realistic. That left edge is probably the best attacking edge in the NRL. Twice as good now with Kolomatangi on it. And I said, you can apparently ball play as well. The right edge isn't getting a lot of attacking ball.
Yeah.
You just go, let's just beat them down the left all the time. The time will come for the right. We don't completely disregard it. But, that left edge, 75% of attacking sets on the opposition line will be set up to attack down the left.
Yeah. And people might go, well, it's too obvious.
Doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
And Sean Johnson and the Warriors right edge last year, it didn't matter. Teams knew it was coming. Yeah. They kept going there. They couldn't stop it.
Well, you get Trell on one-on-one with anyone.
Yeah.
He's going to dust you. You get Jackie White in one-on-one with anyone, most likely going to dust you.
And that's it. It's not like they're just going, all right, it's going to be AJ in the corner every time.
Yeah.
It can be Cody show and go. It can be Cody short to Kolomatangi. It can be, a face ball to Jack White and
Yep.
There's 10 different things you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Another guy, Damien Cook, outstanding game. Really, really good game. I got in me show notes just here. 5 dummy half runs in the first half. And that says to me, like, he's finding that balance of knowing when to run again. It was a part of his game that, you know, we saw it at times, but it did, because Cody Walker is so slick that it's almost like just get him the ball. But this just adds another dimension to their attack. I thought Cookie was outstanding.
And 80 minutes, and they reckon he had a calf issue through the preseason. Well, he did, because he didn't play trials and it was lingering. I was like, I wonder how many minutes he'll get out of him, and if Havili spells him for 20 or 30 due to a restricted preseason, getting a little bit older, 80 minutes and one of the best on the field.
He's so fit.
Mate, how about as a Maroon supporter watching this and going, Latrell probably best on the field. Tommy Turbo probably best on the field. Teddy's back to his best. He's the best fullback in the world again. Damien Cook back to his best. You go, Queensland's odds have gone to about 10-1 this year.
You know what you just didn't mention?
What?
Queensland spirit.
Yeah, but
all those players can be you could line 1 to 17, the best of the best. They don't have Queensland spirit.
How'd your Queensland spirit go in 2021 when Latrell and Turbo were fit and tore you to pieces, mate? Record winning margin, was it? Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I remember when I used to have to go back a few years to remember my last win as an Origin series.
It's been a tough couple of
Yeah.
years.
So Cookie, I thought outstanding, picked his moments well. Jairo in defence, I thought was just a beast. Did what he was, did what's said on the label, which was to jam blokes.
And like he basically got injured the first tackle of the game, and he just soldiered on.
But I want to talk about Kepi.
Oh yeah,
I thought Kepi was outstanding, and I've been singing Kepi's like when they first announced Kepi's signing, and I was like, I think this is a great signing. There was quite a lot of people that disagree with me, which is like fair, like totally fair. Have your opinion. And look, I'm not sitting here going, oh, I was right, because it's only one game at all. Like this, it's a whole season we have to watch. But for his first game, I thought Kepi's outstanding, and I thought he was really good in the trials too. I think he's at the moment looking like a really, really good pickup for the Rabbitohs.
Look good. Bent the line, 128 metres, 50 post contact, and he's a big boy, Kepi. With every minute he gets under his belt, match fitness early in the season, he'll get better and better.
And a player that the Rabbitohs needed, especially like Tom Burgess leaving at the end of this year, always like recently been a little light in the middle. Totola's probably one of our best front rowers, and he was injured a bit last year. So yeah, something. If him, Totola, and Tom Burgess can all stay on the field this year, and Miley as well, it's going to be really, really good.
I thought Totola was good too.
He's a beast.
Like, really matured as a player. So as I said, the good thing for the Rabbitohs is their roster has never been a concern, or at least heading into this year, it's not a concern. The big question was, do all these boys, are they heading in the same direction? Are they playing together? Is there any schism? To me, it looked like a team. We saw all those try-saving tackles from Cookie, from Ilias. They look like they're all on the same page. They all do.
Yeah, and again, you look at the whole of the Bunnies' attacking game plan is like more than any other team in competition. Strip numbers, AJ in the corner. The field was 5 metres smaller.
Yeah.
That had an impact.
Yeah, well, actually...
And they still did it.
Yeah, if I actually go to my notes here, I actually put it in bold here. So there was one pass where Cody Walker, he threw it to Alex Johnson, and Alex Johnson caught it like right above his head. Ironically, on a normal size field, Alex Johnston would have been a metre to his left, and it would have landed right in his breadbasket, and he would have scored in the corner. And that just shows you, like, a lot of people go, oh yeah, it's a smaller field, just play to the smaller field. But it's like when you're in the heat of the battle, you go straight back to muscle memory. I actually think it's a miracle we didn't see more out in the full. Now, did we see quite a few dead, especially in the Roosters Broncos game? Yeah, we did. But that's a really good example of you hit into muscle memory, you throw that floater, and it's just a metre too long, and he doesn't catch it in the breadbasket. Now, they ended up scoring on the other side, and it was Latrell Mitchell, but it just shows you that does affect things. We'll get to the Broncos-Roosters game, but how many times did Walsh get down that sideline and run basically into the sideline?
And the Roosters did it too. Like, I thought Tupu could have had 3 tries there, and it looked like they had him shot, but they just ran out of room by that extra inch right at the very end. So because of the speed of that, the Bunnies and Manly game, there were plenty of points. The second game, we saw the dimension. Like I think there was twice as many penalties in the second game.
Yeah.
A little bit slower, and it was just a lot harder to get him on the edges.
I guess one big takeaway I got from the game though, and it's very early signs, but Lockie Ilias, I do feel that there's going to be pressure mounting for him to impact games in his first 10 rounds. His try saver was amazing. I really love that from Ilias, and plays like that is why you want a guy like that in your team. But I do think that if they don't kick on, people will start looking to that 7 jersey and saying, like, we're the Rabbitohs. We need Lockie Ilias to not just kind of get through his work, but really impact the game. Being in his third year of NRL now, maybe fourth, but third year of NRL, we need to start seeing that progression. What do you reckon as a Rabbitohs fan?
Yeah, of course. Like, he's into his third year now, and it's like with anything, the halfback's always going to get the blame if they lose, no matter what happens, and that's unfortunately going to be the case with Ilias. But yes, he was the halfback that took us to a prelim last year, but he was also the halfback that, he was the halfback when the team fell off a cliff. So you're right. He's definitely, this is a big year for him. He's under pressure.
And in defence, he's a small body. He's going to get targeted. Tries are going to come through him. That's inevitable. There's a ton of halves. Every half in the competition gets targeted, and that's all good. But if that is happening and you're a smaller body, he really needs to impact the game in attack, and he needs to get this side around the park. He needs to be coming out with attacking plays and taking a bit of pressure off Cody Walker and Latrell, because if you let a try or two in a game in defence and you don't do anything in attack, it's like, something's got to come of it. And there is a lot of pressure on him because he's not. I said we cut him a lot of slack year 1, year 2. The time is now.
Yeah, like third year in NRL, he had an incredible first year. I thought he was outstanding. Second, last year not the best. You get into this third year, you still have to be patient with these Devons. I have noticed people using Ilias as a scapegoat at times, which I think is super, super unfair. But it is the year to go. And it doesn't mean, I don't think Ilias, is the reason that Rabbitohs lost it all. I don't even think he played poorly at all. But he has to almost get to a point where he's giving you a 7.5, 8 out of 10 every single week. Doesn't have to give you a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. But I think by midway this year, he's going to need to do that because he's got pressure from underneath. He's got the New South Wales Cup winning in Hawkins right underneath him, putting pressure on his position.
And that's it, Kemp. You don't need 10 out of 10 games from him, and you're not going to get them when there's Latrell and Cody in the team, the superstars. That's where your points are coming from. He just needs to be consistent.
Yeah. And so if I'm a Rabbitohs fan, or my opinion to Rabbitohs fans is be patient and give him at least 6 to 8 weeks before you start, getting the pitchforks out. And because I do notice quite a lot of negativity around Ilias, and he put it this way, he's had one down year. Outside of that, he had a great year. How often do we see sevens get into their best work when they're 28, 29? So he's 23 or 4 now? He's still relatively young. So just give the kid 6 to 8 weeks. 23. Fuck. He's super young. But I also understand, that doesn't necessarily mean he has to be in the first grade side for the whole year. He could go back to New South Wales Cup and then come back into first grade. I mean, look at Sam Walker. I thought he was really good for the Roosters yesterday. But it is something that I do think pressure will be mounting on him going forward.
And they said, went to a prelim final in 2022, the Bunnies?
Yeah.
And Lockie Ilias was in the hearts for them.
It was great.
The whole story of that year was he got hooked against the Dragons.
Yeah.
They had the bye the next week, and then he played really, really, really well for the rest of the year. He even started, last year, he started really well against the Sharks.
That's what I was going to say. They led the comp after 11 rounds.
Yeah.
After a prelim the season before. So, the success can come.
Yeah.
We just need to see it more consistently.
Yeah, consistently. So, just be patient with him, boys and girls that are Rabbitohs fans, because you don't want to burn a gun 23-year-old 7 to the point where it's irreversible. All you need to do is look at the Brooks situation where, he was on big wicket, he was a saviour, and it just got to the point where it was just, you couldn't fix it. They needed to part ways. Now, Lockie Ilias is ages away from that, but I hope it doesn't get to that point because the thing with Ilias is he's an easy scapegoat.
It's so easy.
It's easy to go to him and not look at Walker, Latrell, Murray, Cookie, Graham, Whiten. It's go to the young boy, the young fella.
Little rookie small halfback.
Small halfback that's still learning his game. That's the easy thing to do. And that's not me. Again, we're sitting here saying, yes, he needs to be more consistent. So I'm not pretending like he's killing it. I just want Rabbitohs fans to be, give him to round 6 or 8. You'll know where he's at, I think, this year. Alrighty, Roosters defeat the Broncos 20-10. And we have a brand new partner. Musashi has joined the bloke community as a partner. And we want to talk about Musashi's early season edge. And that early season edge for me is the Sydney Roosters. For a team that has basically come into every year, at least over the past 5 years, really slow, struggled. I think they've only won like 1 or 2 round ones in the last 7 years, like a really poor round 1 record. I thought they looked super fit, way more connected than they've looked in a very long time at the start of the season, or even at the end of the season. Like, it's the most connected they've looked in a very long time. They were absolutely our early season edge, brought to you by Musashi. And the guys at Musashi have looked after the bloke community. Use code BLOKE35 to get 35% off products excluding bundles. 35% off
35.
products excluding bundles. So you just put in BLOKE35. Make sure to use it, guys. Plus, I use their supplements. I literally already use their supplements. They're great. Basically anything you could want. They got energy drinks, they got protein bars, they got the pre-workouts, they got your BCAAs, they got your creatines, your group, like whatever you want to get you in good nick. Or if you're just trying to lose weight, instead of having that meal, have a meal replacement shake. But Timmy, give me your thoughts on Roosters' early season edge.
Yeah, they came out and we know that they've been notoriously slow starters in the NRL in recent seasons, and it's left them having to make these big late season charges, even to play finals football. And when they've looked good, they've run out of steam a couple of seasons in a row. Trent Robinson came out and said, we need to be better. We need to kick off the season quicker. And what an opportunity to do it against the Brisbane Broncos, last year's grand finalists. And they looked fitter. You could tell. You'd see it in the players. They had more steam in them. The fitness looked better. And 1 from 1, got the start he wanted.
Great start. And it's not even just the fact that they won. It's what they looked like. They looked fit. They looked in sync. Even when they were playing good footy last year, they just didn't look like they had, structures and getting to certain points in the field. I felt like yesterday, they looked in sync. They looked like they were getting to certain points in the field. Keary looked way more in control of the game than he has in the past. Sammy Walker knew when to inject himself. Teddy, another guy that injected himself at the exact right times. He only had, I think it ended up being 16 runs. I'll just double check that.
Physically speaking, like you look at the players, and I mentioned like Olakwatu and Manly looking really good and fitter and ready to go. Brandon Smith just looked shredded, the cheese.
Yep. Looked in the best nick he's looked in ages. Basically, a whole preseason knowing that he's going to be number 9 with no injuries, nothing like that. He didn't look a fish out of water. I felt like that first year when he first started, you're at a new club, new systems, especially the Roosters system. It's such a unique hybrid of getting Teddy the ball when he wants it, Sammy Walker the ball on the front foot. Then you've got guys like Joey Manu. It's like a very unique, hard system. I mean, it's such a unique, hard system. You could argue even the Roosters at times didn't really know, well, they may have known, but they didn't execute a very obvious game plan. And he looked as smooth as he's ever looked at number 9 yesterday.
I still don't know what this attacking system is going to look like going forward. Who's more dominant out of Keary and Walker? When does Cheese run? When does Cheese not run? Does Joey Manu come in and roam? But the early signs are that they can make it work because their attack looked good yesterday. I think in a wider field, a full-size field with dimensions, there would have been more points in it for them. They fell just short of 2 or 3 extra tries, particularly Tupu down that left edge.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's definitely the least clunky they've looked in a very long time. In regards to, as an overall view from a Broncos perspective, yeah, for sure disappointing start to the season. We'll get into the reasons why, maybe they didn't play as well as they could have, but not concerned from a perspective of they didn't look like a complacent side to me. They didn't look like a side that's just kind of gone out there and be like, yeah, we're just going to roll over teams again. There was a lot of effort there. Their defence, I thought, was outstanding. Just their attack, super clunky. Super clunky.
They looked like a typical round one NRL team who have a few cobwebs to dust off, getting a bit of extra match fitness in them. Like, it would not be concerned one bit as a Broncos fan.
Now, let's talk about the Roosters. We'll talk about Teddy off the bat. So he ended up having 20 runs, which is okay for Teddy. That's what you don't want to... When you get around the 28, 29, it's too much. I thought he picked his times brilliantly. We didn't really see one off the ruck, just taking it with no support. We saw when he did choose to get the ball in the ball playing areas, he had players with him, and we saw that in the last try with the dummy, go through the line and then obviously pass to Victor Radley. I tell you what, you never count a champion out, and there was a lot of people heading into this season just put a straight line through Teddy. And, we've been pretty strong on this podcast of he's not done, to say he's definitely done is discounting one of the greatest fullbacks to ever play the game. We were unsure of whether he could bounce back and find that really strong running game, really strong in contact. He absolutely found it yesterday. He was outstanding, and didn't see much ball playing, so we didn't see that part of it. But when it comes to back at his best ball running, absolutely yesterday.
To doubt James Tedesco is absolute madness, and he was always going to bounce back this season, and he's set for a massive, massive year. Where we were critical of him last year was that, he's still the incumbent Australian fullback. And we sat here and we were hypercritical of him at different stages of the season. That's because we were looking at him as, does he keep the Kangaroos spot? Is he still the best number one in New South Wales? And that's where we were getting a little bit sceptical. So, and I still am.
Yeah.
He was brilliant yesterday, looked physically well, set up the match-winning try with a beautiful line break. Devil's advocate sort of call on it is the question mark around him last year was his ball playing. And I didn't see anything yesterday to suggest that his ball playing had come on since last season at all. And I look at, comparable to other fullbacks that played yesterday, Tommy Trbojevic, Latrell Mitchell, they both had a couple of line break assists. Teddy still didn't have, made the line break himself with his running game, but there was no line assists, any of that sort of stuff. I still want to see that ball playing come out in him, but in terms of running game and impacting this team and being one of the elite fullbacks in the game, there's no doubt around that.
Yeah. He said after the game, I think it's the longest preseason he's had in a very long time. He looks in great nick, and I thought he was outstanding. And look, maybe this is the type of footy player that he is now. Maybe, we always talk about how Latrell isn't the guy that's going to have 30 runs, and we give him the pass there and we say, look at his ball playing. Maybe Teddy is an incredible ball runner that can break tackles and create his own line breaks, and that's just the type of player he is. I guess, you're right. In regards to being critical of him last year, it's like when you get into Origin levels, is that cohesive to today's game where you need a fullback to be able to strip numbers and all that kind of stuff. Now, maybe it was just a game where he didn't get that opportunity and we're going to see it. And I don't count Teddy out yet at all. And, heading into this year, if I had to select a side, I probably would have gone somewhere else, as in before a ball had been kicked. But after that round one performance, he's definitely cemented his name back in the conversation of he can be the New South Wales and Australian fullback. One game, guys. It's only one game for sure. But yes, it's only one game. But what it has proven is that electric ball playing fullback. It's not gone. It's still there. He just needed a bit of a preseason to get it back.
And that's it. Just over 12 months ago, he was out and out still the best fullback in New South Wales. And then the ball playing fell off a cliff compared to what we'd seen in the past. Teddy also came out and acknowledged that his ball playing was poor last year and he'd spent a lot of time in it during the preseason to get it back up to where it needs to be the Blues number one. I also don't doubt that he's done that. We didn't see it on the weekend. That doesn't mean we're not going to see it in round two when the Roosters take the field again. As it stands, I don't have him as the Blues fullback to start in Origin this year. But if he can rediscover the ball playing, as you said, Kempy, there's no reason why he can't be.
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas I do feel like there were a lot of people before round one that were just like, he's not in the conversation. He's done. He's peaked. He's been great. He's one of the greatest ever, but now it's over. I think he just sent a message out to everyone saying, no, it's not over. I'm still here. I'm still one of the best fullbacks in the game. So I'm so happy for Teddy because, what I was getting frustrated with sometimes last year is that people were conflating Teddy not being at his best with him not being a good fullback anymore. It's like, you're kidding yourself.
Please.
He was still an 8 out of 10 most weeks for the Roosters. But by his lofty standards, he wasn't at his best. That doesn't mean he's still not one of the better fullbacks in the competition. He was outstanding yesterday. What do you think, Matty?
I think that last year as well. As you said, 12 months ago, he was probably the best fullback in the game. And last year, it just didn't go right for him. Well, I mean, he was still pretty good, but it's still, like, as you said, to his lofty standards. And everyone was like, oh, he's fallen off a cliff. But I think because he was in that week-to-week grind, he really needed that time off and that preseason to fix everything. I don't think there was enough time to fix what was going wrong last year, because he would have gone into this. He went into the season as the best fullback. So I think the preseason has done him absolute wonders, and he's definitely still in the conversation.
And people, look, I know he's quite a ways into his career, but I feel like people have kind of been, what's the word? Well, they just kind of, they've got recency bias. So they look at like a Billy Slater and they go, that's the standard. Like, that is the fullback. They don't realise that Billy Slater had to add things to his game. He was not a ball-playing fullback when he came into the league. It took him years of developing it. And I know it's a little bit different because obviously Teddy's quite advanced into his career. But it's very easy for a player that, although he can ball play, his strong suit is his running game. And so if that's, especially when the Roosters had so many injuries, they were relying so heavily on him just to get through a mountain of work. Very easy for him to go, oh, okay, this is what I need to be for my team, and just almost forgetting about that because it's just about getting his team through the next game. Before you know it, you're like, oh my God, I actually haven't worked on my ball playing for, 12 weeks or something like that, because all I've been worried about is getting through a mountain of work because we've got 10 players injured kind of thing. So I'm excited for Teddy.
And he turned 31 in January. Like, he's not 34, he's not 35. Provided his body holds up and he's fit, and he certainly looked it on the weekend, he's got another 3 minimum good years in him.
Yeah, so really exciting. He was outstanding. And even though I thought it was a really interesting tactic from the Roosters, the midfield bombs. A lot of midfield bombs and Teddy going up to contest for them. I think we might be seeing a bit of a trend for teams to start doing that, because we saw it with Tommy in the first game. I think a lot of teams might start going, you know what? As long as we practice the bat back enough, it may be worth the risk of putting the fullback off because we knock it back anyway. And so I think we might be seeing a really, really, I mean, it's literally in its inception in regards to trend, the start of a midfield bomb trend.
I hope so, because it's attacking football. It's exciting.
Yeah.
And so with how good some of the leapers are in these games, and there's a few smaller fullbacks, you get one of your tall wingers just going there and batting back or jumping over the top.
When you think about it, it's like, if you knock it on, who cares?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. So it's like, it's almost like, why don't you do that? Instead of giving him an easy carry, there's no pressure on them. Like, if you knock it on, it doesn't matter. And also, you put pressure on the catch now rather than allowing him to catch it and tackle him to the ground.
There's a trend, and there has been for a number of years now, the best part of it, a decade of, actually certainly a decade, from your midfield, just putting in these deep bombs, and the idea is obviously get the ball in the air for as long as you can to give your defence time to get down there and jam them on their sort of 10. And that's fine, that's all good and well, there's no knock on it, but every time I'd see it, I'd sat there and just went, drop it 10 metres shorter, have someone flying through, and you've got a close to a 50-50 contest every time. Yeah. You can win the ball back and create attacking opportunities. So I love it.
Well, you could even say it's in the attacker's favour because he's got a 20-metre run-up, whereas a lot of the time the fullback is usually standing still. At the very least, he's got maybe a 3 or 4 metre run-up. And so usually it's the fullback that's going to get absolutely jammed, not the attacking player.
And the attacker, if he screws it up, it was fifth tackle anyway, like it was going to be a handover. The fullback defending it, if he drops the ball, the other side have an attacking set, fresh set on their line essentially, or close enough to it. I do think with the interesting to see if they do it, and if that
dimensions of the field,
dimensions of the field, and also just the surface with that really thin grass, just so hard as we saw to make the ball pull up. So I think they were going where more. It's just a safer, smarter play because we can't sit in the in goal, or it's a lot harder to do.
Another thing with the bomb as well is if you do knock it on and they get the ball, it's a pause in play.
Yeah.
So it's actually really good for defence because you got your line set and you just go, we're just going to jam you now. Whereas if you kick it deep and let them catch it, Your defence isn't set. You don't have that little 10, 20-second break.
And if their defending fullback does catch it, they're still getting whacked and getting a slow play the ball.
Yeah. So, I look, maybe it was because of the dimensions and obviously the track was quite fast and we saw that roll out quite a few times. But I'll be interested if there's not a bit of a trend there. Because put it this way, we saw it in Origin last year with Lindsay Collins out-jumping Teddy. We saw Tommy Trbojevic do it a lot with Trell. And I know Tommy has been notorious for that. For years ago, he did it against Kalen Ponga in the Origin. But then we see Teddy do it as well. We saw Adam Reynolds do it to a degree, even though I actually thought they were the wrong decision. But he was bombing at midfield like torpies. So I wonder if we're seeing a bit of a trend.
And to tell you what, it's exciting to watch. So I hope so.
Super exciting. Super exciting. So Teddy, I thought he was outstanding. Suoliti, he was, some of his runs. But the main man, it's got to be Joey Manu. Holy. We talked about Latrell reminding us of, the fact that he's top tier. What about Joey Manu just going, yeah, okay, I might be off to Union. I might be off to eat some crumpets in France, have some red wine. But I am still the best centre in the game right now.
How devastating was that back line? Just powerful. They said fit. I mentioned Ben Trbojevic before, boy turned man. Suoliti looked outstanding. What a centre pairing. And then you look at it, and there was talk just a couple of weeks ago before the trial when Dom Young got injured, and obviously Billy Smith was a late withdrawal with, I believe, a hamstring niggle, that Suoliti might have missed this back line. That's how good your back line's going. And he could be the best centre in the comp. Yeah, and that's another example of everyone wanted to write Suoliti off for that first year at centre, but he got a whole preseason at centre probably this time. Definitely. You'd assume Dom Young and Tupou were training on the wings. Yeah. Maybe he just needed time. Now, obviously, he's off to Union, but geez, he just looked big, strong, super good in contact. He's 20. It's actually insane. He's 20 years old. 20 years old. It's funny. It's heading into that game, you're the talk of Broncos are stacked. Look how good they are. But then when you put those sides next to each other, this Roosters side is absolutely stacked. Angus Crichton didn't play. Connor Watson didn't play. Egan Butcher didn't play. Billy Smith was injured. Dom Young was injured. And they still rolling out this side. Hargreaves didn't play. This Rooster side, it's almost unbelievable they've managed to keep it all together. Yeah.
Just on Manu. He ran for 165 metres, which is awesome at centre. That was the lowest in the Roosters backline. Oh. So Tedesco 213, Tupu 191, Suoliti 170, and Palga 171. Just crazy. Yeah, and so, we'll get to the Broncos, but that's why, although with the Broncos, I do think you absolutely saw the step down from Herbie being gone, Flegler being gone, Cable being gone. You can try and spin it how you want. There is no denying that those three boys there yesterday, it's a maybe not would have won, but it's a much stronger side. Just missed Herbie's yardage coming in, just to get the set going and get on the front foot. Yeah, so much. But anyway, we'll get to that. Back to the Roosters. I thought Keary was great. Really good. Probably one of the better games I've seen from Keary in a couple of years. His kicking game was really measured. There was one play, we'll talk about it. There was an alleged racist remark made during the game. We'll wait for the NRL to investigate that and come to their conclusion. But regardless, from our perspective, there is absolutely no room for racist remarks in our game. And our thoughts are absolutely with Ezra at the moment. Even just recently, he's had to turn off comments on his Instagram because of the hate that he's getting. It's just, it's crazy. So my thoughts, and just thinking a lot about Ezra and where his headspace is at right now. And, he's an absolutely incredible young man with an incredible future. And, we'll give our opinions on the situation once the NRL comes to their conclusion. Anyway, so the incident happens and the Broncos fire up. And basically, they are winning the ruck and, really shooting off the line. Luke Keary, on third tackle, kicks the ball. And I just thought, what a veteran move by Luke Keary. So many halves, even some of the best halves in the game, would have looked at that moment and said, no, I'm going to let my forwards, get into this battle and just almost be drawn into that fight.
He just said, "Nah, completely diffuse it. I'm going to kick on the third tackle, turn them around. They've got to bring it back out of their own end." Super smart play from Keary. I thought he was really good yesterday.
It was a great example of, the stat sheet not telling the full story. I thought the exact same thing, mate. Had my notes down from the game, and it was basically Luke Keary looked all class. He you could see his experience. His game management was fantastic. Went to the stats thinking they'd be not stacked, but they'd be a bit there. No line breaks, no line assists, nothing major, no try assists. He just looked great. The speed at which he was hitting the ball and going deep into the line, as we know he does, as good as any playmaker in the competition at his best. Even when he re-signed the other day, and I still absolutely have my reservations about Luke Keary and Sam Walker going forward and how they're going to make this combination work. But the signs from the weekend were very good, and I thought Luke Keary was tremendous.
Yeah, and just again, I felt like he seemed like the experienced half on the ground, controlling momentum in both sides. So yeah, I thought he was really, really good.
He looked dangerous every time he ran the ball.
Absolutely. And I thought Sam Walker, although he didn't have his moments, he's so gutsy. He just gets banged about and, he's on the ground, he's been hitting the ribs, he can't breathe, but he just keeps turning up.
He's the best.
I love it. He's so tough. He plays way above his weight. So he was really good. In regards to other players, we have to speak about him. Terrell May. Mate, I tell you what, you'd want to get him signed ASAP. Because it's one thing having the year that he had last year, and almost the conversations you can have with him then are like, listen, mate, you've still got a lot to learn. It's 1 year. Yes, we want to develop you into that player. And so here is the contract that reflects that. Then he comes out and does this in round 1 or round 0. And if he keeps doing it, he goes from a guy that had a really great year into a top-tier front rower. And that price packet is astronomically different. So, look, and I know the Roosters, I think, have already tabled deals and, apparently Bulldogs have gone quiet. If I'm Bulldogs, I'm getting loud again. You try to get that bloke. He was phenomenal, and I actually thought that in the forward pack, he was the difference. I thought that the Broncos, they were wrestling momentum and, they kind of withstood that initial onslaught and they kind of wrestled it back. And then Terrell May came on, couple offloads, and just changed the game again.
If a front rower plays 54 minutes, it is ultra impressive. If a front rower does it in 2 stints in the game, as you'd imagine, ultra impressive. Terrell May played 54 minutes straight through the middle in round 1 of the season with no real match fitness under his belt to work with, and he looked like he didn't break a sweat.
Yeah.
In one stint.
One stint. Didn't look like he was falling off tackles. Didn't look like he was lazy on the inside.
He had 28 tackles without a miss. I think he's got 3 games or something that might be more without a missed tackle. He didn't break a sweat.
And we're not talking about a plotter. We're talking about a bloke that constantly bends the line and offloads. You know what I mean? Look, if he came on, he was a plotter that just got through his work, you'd be like, yeah, that's his strong suit. He has a lot of minutes in him and he gets to it. He changes games.
He's got that makeup of like he was at the Roosters last year, a powerful impact bench forward that comes in 2 short stints of 15 to 20 minutes and just goes hard. No. That was endurance as good as any front row in the game. Give or take Tino and Payne Haas, whose endurance is just in a class of their own. But 54 minutes straight in round 1?
It's so impressive, and I think it's a testament to the shape that Trent Robinson has these guys in.
Yeah,
that you've got a fronty that can come on and do that off the bat. These guys, this is the best shape. Lindsay Collins, 60 minutes. These guys, this is the best shape that the Roosters have been in. I mean, you could even argue it's better shape they were in 2018 because you have to remember, 18 they started slow. So it's the best shape they've been in a very, very long time. Another guy who I just think has completely simplified his game and it has done him so many wonders, it's Victor Radley. So, yes, he's ball playing, but it's not like a 5'8", trying to hit out the back or these long balls or whatever. It's just dropping people under, tipping onto a front rower. Plus also, he's thinking run first. I thought Victor Radley was one of the best players on the field.
Radley was fantastic. We want nothing more than to see one of the better blokes in the game to come and have a big year and stay on the field, both avoiding suspension, avoiding injury, because we know how much he's got to give. What I found really fascinating at the Roosters yesterday was trying to work out what Trent Robinson's doing with his forward rotation. Really unique. So most clubs nowadays run 80-minute edge back rolls. Not all of them, but more often than not. They had Suo Wong, who played 25 minutes in his first stint and went off. Tupanua started the game on the edge, and I think he may have just had one stint. He might have gone off injured because he went off about the 43-minute mark.
I think both Wong and Tupanua are under injury clouds.
Yeah. And I think that the Tupanua was more speculative, like just because he went off at a weird time. But I don't know if Tupanua was going to go 80 anyway. And then they had, obviously, even prior to that, like Nat Butcher came on the edge, I believe, for Wong. 4 forward bench, obviously. There's still no Connor Watson there. I don't know if he's sort of potentially reinventing the wheel a little bit, Robbo, but we know he's one of the best thinkers in the game. I can't wait to see, especially with Waterboy back on deck next week, what he does with his forwards minutes, and if he's thinking, no, like I don't need 2 80-minute back rolls, I want to keep my forwards fresh, I want that explosiveness on the edge. Be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think, and maybe he's looking at it like my edge back rowers, these two, Wong, Satili, are big enough to play in the middle if they have to.
Yeah.
So he's going, okay, if something happens in the middle or whatever, I'll just pull these guys in and I can bring someone on the edge. Because ironically, and look, Kevy couldn't have known this before the game, ironically, with Piakora getting injured, putting Carrigan out on the edge, we were desperate for an edge back row on the bench.
You were.
Because then we could have kept Carrigan in the middle. And I think that you're going to see with the Broncos that going forward, we will carry an edge back row on the bench because we don't have... sorry if you can hear that, guys.
Yeah.
There's like someone's literally moving house upstairs. Unbelievable. Anyway, last year, when something happened with our edge back rowers, we basically could put Carrigan out on the edge because we had Flegler to pick up the slack in that middle bit there, whereas we don't have that anymore and we can't afford to have Carrigan and Haas not in the middle there. And so I think that with our edge back row, we just have to, doesn't matter who makes way, we have to carry an edge back row on the bench. And you look at Robbo, who's carrying multiple. Nat Butcher.
The versatility of Robbo's pack of players that can go between middle and edge is mental.
Yeah, because you've got, I don't know why it's like this, because it's got Ponga on the bench. I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, so Tupanua and Wong started. They can both spend time in the middle, and Satili did in the preseason. Nat Butcher, middle or edge. Angus Crichton, not there, middle or edge.
White probably could play edge as well, I think.
Terrell May can play on the edge.
Yep.
He's a middle, but Victor Radley played on the edge for a little bit last year, I think it was, for stages, or it might have been the year before.
I have questions about how they're going to use Egan Butcher because he obviously wasn't in the team. I think he's best coming through the middle, getting quick play the balls, but he can also play on the edge. I do think he's a better middle, but it's just crazy how many options they have.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And you mentioned Hammy on the Broncos, and we'll obviously get into a bit deeper shortly, but the Piakora early head knock, it changed the game dramatically and had a big impact on the result. You mentioned during the preseason that you were being critical of their squad makeup, that they were missing an edge, and we saw Pat Carrigan go to an edge at stages last season. In the back end, I think they had both their back rows were injured, so they forced him there. And he went really well. Scored a couple of tries, played good footy. You'll get away with that when you're humming along and you'll beat most sides, and he'll do a great job.
And you've got Flegler and Haas still in the middle. Yeah.
But when you're coming up against the best sides in the NRL, you need Pat Carrigan in the middle, obviously. And Flegler's a big loss. But you even had in Herbie coming out of the end, and the impact of Carrigan having to move to the edge. But your criticism was that you looked light on edge back rowers this season. So you say that, all right, you're probably going to need to carry an edge on the bench because you can't keep going to Carrigan and have to go to the edge. Cannot. Throughout the season, fine, whatever. You'll probably still make top 4, top 8 and be strong finals contenders. But you don't want that in a grand final. You don't want that against Melbourne or the Roosters or the Panthers come finals time. Who is that edge?
I think you'd have to bring Hunt on the bench. He definitely wasn't bad in the trials. He was solid, got through his work, and maybe that's just what you need, a bloke that could probably play middle if he had to. I think you just have to carry an edge back row on the bench or at the very least, a forward that can play middle and edge.
Yeah.
Because Carrigan cannot be on the edge. Now, granted, I don't think anyone, because if you picked a squad based around if a certain position gets injured, in every position, you wouldn't be able to pick a bench. So you're going to have to make sacrifices. Some people go an outside back, some people go utility, some people go 4 forward, some people just go a 9. But I do think that most of the other positions can kind of be filled in, but Paddy is way too important in our middle to move him to an edge. Even though I would have done what Kevy done. If Piakora goes down yesterday, I would have put Paddy to an edge because who else could go there? Like, who else can go there? But heading forward now, I would be picking a person that can play both edge and middle every single week going forward.
As we said, it's not saying that Carrigan can't go to the edge and go well.
No.
He'll go there and kill it, and he's a great option there. But you lose out in the middle big time.
Big, especially, like, okay, put it this way. We ran out in the field, and our starting pack is Flegler Haas, without Carrigan even in the side. You're still going, that's probably a top 4 side, or at least a top 6 side, top 8 side. You're out in the field with just Haas and then obviously, Jensen, Tupperware. That's when you go, ooh, okay. We're still probably a top 8 side, but that top tier of club, probably not without Carrigan in the middle there.
No Willison surprised me.
You know what I think it was? I think it was huge game against a raging Roosters forward pack that notoriously is hyper aggressive. We've seen how many suspensions they have, blah, blah. And I think it's gone, you know what? It's a long season.
Yeah.
There's no point sending Willison out there. And Tupperware did start the first 10, 20 really well. I'm going to get the big veteran that is massive, can take the contact. There's no point sending Willison out there to get absolutely mauled. He might not have. He might have been able to handle it. But you don't want the kid's confidence smashed.
Just went with that experience, the veteran there. We knew the occasion wouldn't get to him, sort of thing. But it'll be interesting to see how they go about that next week.
Shows you how this is how good Carrigan is. So he would have. What do you reckon? 70 minutes on an edge?
Yeah, at least, I would have thought.
Still had 164 metres, 91 post-contact, 0 tackle breaks. So he did that all just pure contact. 23 tackles, 2 offloads.
1 missed tackle on James Tedesco, overrated.
That's pretty crazy. Put it this way: if any other edge back rower had those stats,
played 80
on the edge, you'd be like, "Wow, what a good game!"
And then also one of, if not the fittest forward in the NRL. But again, it's round 1 for him as well. He doesn't have that match fitness in him, and he's gone straight into 80 minutes.
Fucking so good. So anyway, we'll keep going with the Roosters, but it is a really interesting the amount of edge back roles the Roosters do have in their squad. And I think that's been selected specifically of, if you're an edge back rower at the Roosters, you essentially have to be able to play in the front row at some stage. Like as in, if we need you to, you're going to go in the middle. And I remember even when Angus Crichton first arrived, he played him through the middle.
Yeah.
So it might even be a tactic.
And that's it. It's like, it's easy to say, oh no, if you can play on an edge, you can play in the middle. Like for certain players and certain body shapes, they could not be more different positions.
You reckon Lindsay Collins can go out on an edge?
Yeah, exactly.
Like he can't. He's too big. But on an edge, you can go into the middle usually. But it's tough. Another player that played well, Joe Manu, we've spoken about him. Incredible. Stuart, incredible. Lindsay Collins got through a mountain of work, as usual. Just trying to think who else. We talk about Victor Radley.
Cheese?
Oh, we haven't talked about Cheese?
Nah.
Oh, yeah, we did. We talked about how... Yeah, well, anyway, Cheese.
Cheese, yeah, we spoke some Cheese.
He's 40-20. I know it ended up being Jesse Arthur's, but that was almost a game match-winning play because the Broncos were doing what they always do is they start a little bit slow, they come out in that second half in that first 20, and they just blitz you, and you go, holy shit, where's this come from? So the Roosters are under the pump, and Broncos look like they get their tails up. They're going, yeah, we're on here. Like, all right, yeah, you've had your little fun. Broncos are going to do what they do, and they score a bunch of tries in the second half. And then Cheese just goes bang, 40-20, completely changed the game. Look, I don't know whether they would have won, but the Roosters were under the pump. Huge play from Cheese, and he's not notoriously known for a kicking game, so he's clearly been working on it.
Came out of nowhere, so a great sign for them. Obviously takes some pressure off Walker and Q. They're kicking-wise, if you can get it going a bit. I love the selection of Sandon Smith on the bench and just going, we speak so highly of him on this podcast and did so throughout the preseason. You have, a highly regarded utility in similar sort of position in Connor Watson coming back from injury. And Robbo's gone, no, you were terrific for us at the back end of last season when we needed you, and he's rewarded him with that spot. Whether or not he keeps that or they're just getting minutes into Watson, time will tell. But such a show of faith in the young fella.
Yeah, Sandon Smith is, and he does liven up the play. I know Connor Watson does as well, but he's been playing well, you know. So yeah, look, great win for the Roosters, and you know how exciting for Roosters fans to head into a year and go, you know what, we're going to start the year, we're going to most likely get some wins on the board. We're not going to have to be, you know, last 10 rounds having to win 8 in a row or 10 in a row. Really good signs for the Roosters, and also like really good signs that Robbo is serious about when he says, I need to be better as a coach.
How good was that quote?
Yeah, like he's serious about it. He's clearly changed something, and he's heading into the year, and the results have shown. So great signs for Roosters.
There's not many coaches out there that come out after underwhelming years and basically put it on themselves and say, like, I need to be better.
And the thing is like, usually, like sometimes that can almost be lip service of like, I'm saying what people want to hear.
Take the attention away from the players.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to then that next season come out and every single player looks in the best nick they've looked in round one in a very, very long time. So, yeah, great stuff for Roosters. Now on to the Brisbane Broncos. So as we said earlier, they absolutely miss Herbie, Capewell, Flegler. There is no denying that. As it stands right now, they're still a step away from where they need to be to challenge for a premiership. It's literally one round. But we have to remember, at the start of last year, Herbie wasn't the player we all now think he is. Flegler wasn't the player we all now think he is. Capewell obviously established. So at the moment, yes, they are missing those boys. It's going to take 3 younger players to build their careers, maybe not as quickly as Herbie and Flegler did last year, but build into their season to be able to kind of fill those gaps for them to put themselves in a position to challenge for a premiership.
And, you know, you compare yourself to the best, and that's the Penrith Panthers. And what have they done every time they've lost players off the back of success and premierships? They've found someone to come in and fill the void. They don't have to be exactly as good, but most of them have been there. They've at the very least done a job, and that's that plan for life after kick out, for life after Carousel, etc. The Broncos need to find that, don't they?
For sure. And ironically, guess who beat the Panthers in round 1 last year? The Brisbane Broncos, who were looking to bounce back from an incredibly disappointing season. Roosters looked like super disappointing season, just like the Broncos, looking to bounce back. And guess who looked clunky for the first 10 rounds last year? Even the Penrith Panthers looked clunky. And so I've said it for quite a while now with the Broncos. It is going to, I don't know for sure, but my opinion is it's going to take a little bit of time to, yes, we are going to win matches, I think. And yes, we are going to still look like one of the better teams in the comp, at least at the top 8 side. But to hit hit our straps again, like last year, I think it's going to take till round 15, 16, 17, when hopefully a few of the younger boys, Jordan Ricky steps up and takes the role of Capewell, where Dean Mariner, who was incredible, I thought he was really good yesterday, or Selwyn Cobbo takes some more hit-ups. So it's going to take time. So I just think that people need to remember that Penrith powerhouse that we saw in that grand final, they weren't that team in the first 10 rounds. They weren't even close to that team. And so that's the challenge for the Broncos is easing and developing into the year so that guys like Willison replace Flegler. Now, they won't be like for like, just like Mitch Kenny is not like for like for Appy, but they can offer something unique to themselves.
I just want with the Broncos the first 6 to 8 weeks, we know they've got the talent to go deep and they can win a premiership this year. And not saying there was any yesterday by any means, but it's just complacency.
Exactly.
They're a big club. There's a lot of hot young boys, as you put it there, mate. Some absolute stars of our game. They've just been within a whisker of winning a competition. Their names are in the lights. It's about reining it in and going, no, let's get down to business. Let's not be flashy. Let's roll up the sleeves and do the hard yards early. So whether you're winning, losing games, it's just keeping that in rein. Yeah.
And that's what I was really proud of and happy with the boys yesterday. That didn't look like a complacent side to me. Looked like a side that was a bit rusty. Looked like a side that was probably less fit than the Roosters. But when you look at the defence that they put on, didn't look like a side that was like, who cares? They looked like they cared. So that's why the result for me, is just like you, results for me, as long as it's like they're still winning games, first 10, 12 rounds, as long as they're getting enough results, all I want to see is their attitude, and I felt their attitude was really good yesterday.
You lost Pica early, as we just spoke about. Carrigan went to an edge. You touched on it earlier in the show, but one of the biggest players that was impacted by a thinner field is just Reece Walsh, who every inch he lost of space hurt him tenfold because of how easily he gets on the outside of players, and he just kept running out of space. Like, not a major concern there at all.
Yeah, it's just the thing will be is we just need probably two. I think that eventually we're going to, like when you look at this, Selwyn Cobbo, 18 runs. Pretty good. Like Herbie would probably have 22, 23? So like although
18's great, yeah.
Although there were moments where I think that Selwyn could have injected himself a little bit more, that's pretty bloody good for your first game at centre against the Roosters, plus they had more possession. Then you look at Katoni Staggs, 11 runs, 112 metres. I'll cop that from Katoni.
Yep.
Super aggressive in defence. Jesse Arthurs, 16 run, 197 metres, 100 post contact. Like, I'll cop that. And so, like, was I obviously disappointed they lost? Absolutely. But this is still a side that just went up against, like, we're so used to the Roosters not, I guess, performing to their standard that we kind of go, oh, Broncos should definitely beat the Roosters. But even Broncos at full flight last year, with the Roosters playing as well as they should, not what they were last year, they could lose that by 10 points. Like, that's not unreasonable with the roster the Roosters have. And we always have to remember, too, with the Broncos, this is still a friggin' young as anything side. Like, so their backline, Reece Walsh, 21. Jesse Arthurs, I think he might be 23, 24. Katoni Staggs, 25. Selwyn, 21. Dean Mariner, 20. Like, super young backline. Ezra Mam, he's 21, I think. So yeah, I was happy with their performance, but it's a matter of you can't afford to go, we had that one big hit out, and then when the hype isn't there and the big game isn't there, we get complacent and we just think we're going to, just get the win.
So Panthers 4 from 8 last year in their first 8 games.
Yeah, that's the Panthers.
And every chance to do the same thing again this year, the Panthers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd never doubt them because it's the Panthers, but like it's a long 3-4 years for them, really.
Yeah. So we've already spoken about the edge back row thing. So yeah, I think going forward, because at the moment the bench was Marty ended up starting, which saw Corey Jensen go to the bench. So it was Smoothie. Well, I actually thought Smoothie was pretty good. Jeezy's improved. Like every game since that first one, I think he's gotten better and better. Fletch Baker, Kobe Hetherington. So that's maybe, if I was Kevy, maybe I put Kobe Hetherington on edge, like instead of Paddy Carrigan.
Yeah.
Fletch Baker can't play an edge. Jensen can't play edge. Yeah, maybe Hetherington. I'm not sure. But put it this way.
From those options, it's Hetherington.
Yeah, from those options, Hetherington. Yeah. Like, I'd probably either Fletch Baker or Tapua. They're probably the two players that may get replaced by an edge back rower on the bench. Yep. I guess then the argument would be you lose quite a bit of size because it's not like Hetherington's a huge body, even though I thought he did well. But anyway, we've been through that. Some good signs. Payne Haas. Like, even when that pack is getting dominated, it doesn't matter. Like, I can't remember when we've seen a front rower do this shit. Like, seriously, it's a joke. It's a joke. And he does it every single week. Yeah,
69 minutes in the front row in round one. And the thing is, I expected nothing less. It's like early injury for them. Someone's going to have to pick up the slack. Haas is going to play big minutes and he'll churn through the meters.
Yeah, and he'll kill it. Like, he's just amazing what he's managed to do. He had 9 tackle breaks for a front rower.
Yeah, 69 minutes at prop, missed 1 tackle.
37, mate. So 69 minutes at prop, first game of the year. He has 16 runs, 133 metres, 64 post contact, 9 tackle breaks, an offload, 37 tackles, only 1 miss. Like, that is just, we haven't seen this stuff before. It's unbelievable. It's he's won the Player of the Year 5 years in a row, and it's 100% deserved. It's just crazy. He was outstanding. Spoken about a little bit, Dean Mariner. I thought he was. Now, I heard the commentator saying Dane Mariner. It is spelt D-E-I-N-E, so maybe it is Dane. I don't know.
I always thought it was Dean.
I thought it was Dean as well. but could be wrong. We'll just call him Mariner. CBA selection from myself. Oh, by the way, still some CBA white shirts left on the website. They're cream and red. Dean Mariner, I thought he was electric. I know he had that one-on-one strip, but outside of that, he's just, every time he runs the ball, he looks like he's going to break the line. Great footwork, strong in contact. And that try scored off Reece Walsh. Yes, that was Reece Walsh magic, and we'll get into it, but you got to be, quick, but also it reminded me a little bit of Nathan Merritt. He's just his ability, just that lightning reaction to something happening.
Yeah, not just quick, quick off the mark.
Yeah, quick off the mark, and just something happens and Merritt just nails it. Great try from him, and I'm really, really excited to see what he does this season. Selwyn Cobbo, defensively, I actually didn't think, I thought he was okay.
You did all right, yeah.
Wasn't bad.
No standout misses or poor reads or anything.
Not that I can think of. In regards, I also thought Dean Mariner made some really good defensive reads. There was one tackle on Satilli that was incredible. Satilli probably should have tipped it on, but one-on-one tackle winger on Satilli, amazing. Katoni Staggs, super aggressive in defence. Loved his battle. His battle with Suaalii was
that?
Amazing. Jesse Arthurs as well. I know he had that 40-20 situation and whatever, but yeah, I was relatively happy. I really was. Corey Jensen come on and does what he does best and just gets through the work. So Corey Jensen comes on, 56-minute stint. I don't know if he did it all in one. 105 metres, 53 post-contact, 47 tackles, only one miss. Far out. So yeah, and that's when I look at this loss and you look at all these stat areas, they worked their asses off. They really, really did. It just was a little bit clunky.
Jordan Ricky, 51 tackles.
Did he?
Yeah.
Jordan Ricky for me, and that's why he can. I really believe he has the opportunity by the end of the season to take Kate Wells' mantle.
That'd have to be a career high for Ricky. I think 51
and 100 metres too.
Yeah.
48 post contact. Mate, I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah.
And also, all the intangibles, his kick chase is some of the best in the competition, Jordan Ricky's. So he's got an opportunity to step up and become that Kurt Catewell of the team. Big plays, tough plays, all the one percenters. But yeah, we talk about Reece Walsh. That try he set up for Dean Mariner.
Oh.
Suaalii would have been hang on a sec. You were in my grass. I had you were there. And then the sharpest footwork you'll ever see, and then he wasn't there. And then he puts it on the toe immediately and nails it.
In a small in goal on that surface, trying to make it sit up. He
nearly did one in the first half. I think it's Jesse Arthurs.
Oh, just Jesse Arthurs. Just over the dead ball line.
Yeah. And if the field's a little bit longer, it's a try.
Talk about confidence. Reece Walsh knows that he can be, I don't want to say is, but can be better than every player in that field. He knows that when he takes them on and he's got a bit of room to move, that no one can stop him. And he plays like it. And I love it.
Oh, and when he hits that out the back line, and you're like, there's no room. Bro, go inside. There's no room. And then he just hits the afterburners, and all of a sudden it just seems to open up.
He gets the ball, and he's just as long as I get it right, you're not stopping me. I'm if I get my footwork wrong or I take the wrong line or whatever, maybe you do. But if I get it right, I'm going through or I'm putting someone through.
Mate, he is electrifying. Absolutely electrifying. Also, where is it? I think he had 8 tackles, 0 misses. Wow. Really, really good stuff from Walshy. And that for me, when I see that stat, it says to me a kid that isn't getting ahead of himself. When you see him come out after the year that he had and he's sorting his defence out, it says that he's still a student of the game. He's still trying to make himself a better footy player.
Such a student of the game. And we had a really good chat about it late-ish last year, Kempy, and we're going to be having this conversation all this year. And it's finding that balance. Yeah. Finding the balance between backing yourself and reining it in. Because like I think you say to Reece Walsh, mate, back yourself 95% of the time.
Yeah.
But there is a 5%, like even in yesterday's game, there's about 15 to go. They were down by 4. And you sort of chip chase from midfield. And it was chasing points, but it wasn't really on. And then I think
It wasn't chasing too many points either.
it was one try.
Yeah.
Like a converted try, and they were in front with 14 to go in a game like that with a lot of fatigue in it. And he just sort of went it. There was players there in cover, wasn't really on. He gave away a penalty off the back of it. They marched him upfield off it. You just know you're going to have these moments all year.
Yeah.
And you absolutely do not tell a player like Reece Walsh, mate, don't chance your arm or don't back yourself, because that's what makes him so special. But there is a line.
Yeah, it's so tough because I think we're probably just going to have to accept that this is the Broncos.
Yeah.
Like they just are going to wing it. Now, it's round 1, so we got heaps of patience. We're like, yeah, okay, just wing it, boys. You're getting to around 24, 25, and we're like just outside the 4. We need to win the game. I will say, though, 77% completion rate. I'm pretty happy with that as a Broncos fan. If it could be at 80, and it was for most of the game, yes. But 70%, 77%, I'm happy with that. And also, Reece Walsh, 1 error.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that. If you can give me 1 error a game for what you deliver, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, with what you deliver and the way you play the game. We mentioned like Latrell Mitchell with his long passing game. That there might be an intercept from time to time. It's like, you're allowed errors, Reece.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
what goes wrong, for every one thing you do wrong, you can do 5 things right.
Yeah. I will say the game was on the line, or at the very least in the second half. Renault's kicking game just completely, I don't know what happened.
He might have struggled to adapt to the conditions.
Yeah.
Something like he's never played in before. So dimensions. I really think the big thing would have been that grass.
And he was just thinking it's just going to roll dead.
As a bloke like Renault, who's such a big part of his kicking game, it's just those deft touches that he just gets to skid back and sit up on like those dewy surfaces that you get in Australia. You kick it there and it just goes. I might have just played with his head and
Maybe.
work it out.
Because I just felt like we had the game. I felt like we had momentum. We had him under the pump. And he was just like, or at the very least, we were trying to stay in the game, and we're doing like midfield torpy bombs that were sitting up and landing on the 30, 40 metre mark. Now, look, those bombs are sweet if it's a set play and you've got Reece Walsh or an outside back running through. But I was very surprised at, and I agree with you, mate. I do think it was, like, ironically enough, he actually said before the game, though, is like, you don't even think about the small dimensions, because it'll affect your game too much. He said that on Fox League. Okay. But you know what? I tend to agree with you, because maybe he got out there and we did kick a few dead and he's gone. It's just to land it where I need to land it. I just haven't trained enough, so I'm just going to go high.
Went for the high percentage safe play.
But I just think, I don't know. I feel like he could have. I feel like he's talented enough to adapt on the fly and had landed in the right spot. So yeah, that's one knock I had on Renault's game is his kicking game towards the end there could have been better. But the positive I have on Renault's game is 116 run meters and 26 tackles, only 1 miss. Bloody good for a bloke that was apparently done 3 years ago and wasn't worth re-signing. No offense. I love to see that. So look, I'm super proud of the boys. We went up against a red hot Roosters. A few things didn't go our way, and was it 20-10. And also another really thing that, when you really sit down and you think about it, we had that intercept from Ezra Mann, which is very uncharacteristic. So just a one-off brain explosion. Then the flick pass from Manu, you'll never see that. You'll see that once a year maybe. There's 12 points right there. So it's like, and guys, I'm not making excuses. Roosters were the better side. They are the ones that executed the plays. But what I'm saying is that it's not like they were just marching us down the field and then stripping us a numbers try in the through certain holes. These were big plays that needed to happen from Joey Manu, and he nailed it. Yep. He nailed it. And so, as long as we just stay in the fight like we did, next week or the week after or whatever, those big moments don't come off for those players, and we win the game. And so I'm proud of the boys.
You lost one of your main middles, one of your 2 main middles to an edge 5 minutes into the game. As I said, the Roosters looked fitter. They looked more ready for round 1. It's not even a knock to Brisbane. As you said, it's just like teams prepare differently and time their runs differently.
And it's the Roosters. Like, we're not talking about, it's the Sydney Roosters with arguably the most stacked side in the competition.
Yeah.
even at our best, if we lose to the Roosters, it's like it's
They're
okay.
awesome.
Like it's all right. We lost 20-10. It's fine. The biggest question for us heading into this year is it's just the Herbie, Flegler, and Palacia as well. That's another one. Again, you know what? I said Flegler. If Palacia's on the bench, we may be able to put Carrigan out to an edge because he's such a bloody good player. But like, it does make you go. It does make you go like that premiership to win a grand final. You need everything, and like that, the grand final last year is like we had everything. It was there.
Yeah.
It was there. Won't go over that. So that's another thing. Palacia doesn't get brought up as much, but he was incredible for us towards the back end of the year, and so like even Penrith on their worst year didn't lose 4 starters or in their 17. So it'll take time, slowly to build, but I'm confident the boys will do it. Anything else in the Broncos game?
Broncos, Rabbitohs in 2 weeks is going to be an absolute ripper.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, what a game. What a game. Alrighty. Knights. Brought to you by Sportsbet. Bit of a preview. Newey Knights versus Raiders. How you feeling about this one? Knights paying $1.41. Raiders $2.93. I don't mind that value, $2.93.
We know it'll be a gritty underdog Raiders side going up to Newcastle. There'll be a packed out stadium there for the Newey Knights. All the hype will be around them and Kalen Ponga and off the back of what they did the back end of last year. And that'll play into Ricky's hands. He'll go out there. He'll back our pack to beat theirs and win that middle battle. But I'm concerned a little bit about our backline and where our points are going to come from in this one. It should be a ripper of a game, though.
Have you got the? Can you get the line up? What's the line for Raiders?
The line, 7.5.
7.5. Oof, I don't mind that. I fucking don't mind that. Yeah, huge game. Look, the questions heading into this year for the Raiders for me is just the spine.
Yeah.
It's just that when you've got a spine of Hastings, Gamble, Phoenix with Kalen at the back compared to a Fogarty, Strange, maybe Starling starting?
Danny Levi will start. I think start.
Levi with Rapana at the back. That's my biggest question heading into the game. Do the Raiders have enough points in them to go against a side that absolutely has points in them? But I will say, the Knights forward pack, in the trials at least, and I know it's just trials, it means absolutely nothing, was a little underwhelming, whereas the Raiders forward pack I thought looked incredible.
I love our forward pack matchup going into it. I think we've got the better forward pack, and I think we can win that momentum through the middle and off the back, but we just can't give Kalen Ponga that platform. The Knights will be going into it going, there's not a chance this side can outpoint us, and they'll back themselves. I'm very glad it's a night game. I hope there is a bit of rain or a bit of dew, I should say. Anything just to sort of reduce the ability to play expansively and use the ball, which is what the Knights love to do and what Kalen Ponga loves to do. But it's still a good-looking night, so there's a lot of points in them.
Yeah, I'm going Knights, but for value, $2.93 Raiders. I reckon that's decent. Just because we know Ricky loves to be an underdog.
Yeah.
He's probably got that friggin' up on his
A round one
chalkboard.
special, like
Yeah.
it's like it'll be playing. The underdog starts playing into his hands.
Now, Warriors versus the Sharkies. What a clash. What a clash to kind of... What a tone setter for both sides. If Sharkies go over there and win it, we're on here. Like, we're going to go over to Go Media Stadium, beat a Warriors side that has killed it in the preseason trials, that looks red hot, better than ever. Like, the scalp for the Sharkies at $2.58 would be huge, but this Warriors side for me is too hot to handle right now. I think they're coming in strong and fast.
Warriors were the team of the preseason for me in that second week of trials where we saw the majority of the better teams named. They blitzed the Dolphins. Trials are trials. Can they produce that? Again, NRL round one. There's no reason why they can't. If they do, they come out and they win this game because they look sensational. But as you said, the Sharkies, Craig Fitzgibbon, he loves a battle as well, doesn't he? He loves the grit. He loves the underdog status. He's got a big bench going over there. The Sharkies can cause an upset. I won't be tipping them, but this is going to be a corker of a game.
I think, like, Sharkies, they don't have the best. They're a bit like the Roosters, not long-term, but, like, round one, their record isn't that great. I think Hamman being out is significant, and I think Hines will play, but he's, in a bit of doubt as well. So there's just a few too many things against the Sharks for me.
I just think this Warriors side at home, round one, I would even consider a cheeky 13 plus.
Oof.
A cheeky
Confident,
13
mate.
plus. No, I'm not confident. I'm not confident at all, but at home, round one, with the momentum they've got, with what we've shown they can do at home, this is maybe the toughest on the road challenge of round one at the moment for the Sharkies. Like everything, if anything, I reckon 258 it might even be a little bit short, just because you're going up against a team that essentially is playing for a country, because they sold out both of their trials. So heading into round one, it's a sellout. They got the whole country watching. I think Warriors, and depending on the value, I would be looking at a cheeky 13 plus, but see how we go.
I'll go the Warriors 1 to 12.
1 to 12? Okay. Storm versus the Penny Panthers. Storm paying 212. It's at home, so the Penny Panthers come in as favourites. How you like this one? God, just flip.
What is it? Storm haven't lost since 2002, round one.
It's like Blendy's went, you know what? Let's put this to the test. Let's put this round one shit to the test. I'm going to send the three on three, like the three premierships in a row. I'm going to send them down to see what they got.
There are a lot of things that go in Melbourne's favour. I'm surprised that the Panthers aren't a bit shorter. I thought the bookies would have been like, Penrith, red hot, 3 premierships in a row, they'd be a shorter price. But, they were over in England a couple of weeks ago, World Club Challenge. They started slow last year off the back of the World Club Challenge that was in Australia. Melbourne Storm with that phenomenal round one record, they'll be ready to go. So I cannot bring myself to basically ever tip against the Panthers, and I'm not going to start now. But far out, Melbourne are every chance.
I'm with you, Timmy, of what you said first. That price at Penrith is really good. It's looking
It's a great
juicy
odds for them,
to jump on, especially if Cam Munster's not 100% going to play.
Yeah.
Don't mind it.
Major doubt.
Yeah.
Oh, this is tough. So you going Panthers?
I'm going Panthers.
Panthers,
if it was round 2 or any other time, I wouldn't even hesitate. But that is a phenomenal round 1 record that can't be looked past. But yeah, I'm Penrith. 21 years or something they haven't lost in round 1.
No, but when you stack those sides up against each other at the moment, the Panthers are substantially better on paper. Oh, and Munster is an injury cloud. If Munster plays, I'll go Storm, just because the Mad Dog Munster get it done. If he doesn't play, obviously I'll go Penny Panthers.
Little eye injury cloud too, to be fair. He's in a bit of doubt, I think.
Yeah. I'll go... Oh, you know what? I'm going to go Storm.
There we go.
Nice.
I'm going to go Storm. Alrighty. Para Eels versus the Doggies. If I'm honest, Eels win and Eels win well.
Eels 13 plus.
I think that Eels line is good to jump on, yeah.
You go through all the likely teams for round 1, and they're all relatively easy to predict for the most part. The Doggies, no idea what their 1 to 7 will look like. I think that it'll be Burton and Hutcho in the halves, but the makeup of their back line, they have so many headaches. Not necessarily bad ones. They've got quite good depth, so they have some good options, but you line them up. Para looked really good in that second trial as well. The Doggies were just so unconvincing in the preseason. We keep mentioning combinations. The Doggies have so many new combinations again. I think it's going to take time, especially if they get a dry track there at Combank. I think Para could put on a bit of a show.
So you on 13 plus?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go Eels 13 plus as well, but I'm weirdly just keen to see the Doggies.
I'm so keen to see the Doggies. Oh, look, it's actually not the back line I'm concerned about. It's the forward pack. I just don't see it going with that Eels forward pack with the return of a guy like Lane, Madison, Cartwright playing the arguably the best fucking form of his career. Then you add in Tuolangi on the bench that's been killing it. I just put it this way, Para, for me, especially in that last game of the trial, were, I wouldn't say the biggest surprise, but it's like, oh, okay, they're looking better than I thought they were going to look. And just that spine, I just think Dylan Brown, I've said it a few times now, I think he wins Dally M6 of the year. With the Dogs, yes, they were really good in the defence, I guess, in the second trial. But the big story from the Dogs trial isn't actually, it's not their starting side. It's been their juniors that we were impressed with. That was the big story out of. So it's still going to take a little bit of time. Yes, I think they're going to be better than they were last year, but I think it's going to take some time.
I would love to see the Doggies, nothing more than see the Doggies come out and win with this, but tip with the head, not that.
Gold Coast Titans, $1.52. St. George Illawarra, 255, Seabus Stadium. I'm a bit worried about the Titans. I did not like I liked their 40 minutes of their first trial, but their second trial did not like it at all. Yes, trials mean absolutely nothing, but I still can't unsee what I saw. And I liked what the Dragons did, especially in the second trial. This is a tough one for me, and I'm bullish on the Titans.
I'm tipping Dragons. I'm tipping Dragons this game.
Ambush.
And also, like, Fafita's out, Jaden Campbell's out. It all adds up.
Yeah, I've still, despite the really impressive second trial game, I've got the Dragons for the spoon. I think the Titans are smokies for the 8. I don't think they'll quite make it, but they've got the talent to do it. But this game, as Matty said, Jaden Campbell's out, Fafita's out, Bo Fermor's back from a long injury
Warren
layoff.
didn't play in the last trial.
Yeah, Foran didn't play last trial. AJ Brimson's playing out of position. Keeney, rookie at fullback. A lot of things go, again, like early season cohesion in attack. There's every chance the Titans are going to be clunky in attack. The Dragons will play a very simple, high percentage brand of football. I'm going to go the Titans, but it's great odds for the Drags.
What's the line?
5.5.
I don't mind that. Because I think it's going to be a tight game.
Yeah.
It's interesting that that Desi and Flano are going head to head. Haven't coached for a while. It's good.
Oh, I'm going to go Titans. I've been bullish on them all year. Yeah. I'm going to have faith in the fact that Desi Hasler has some magic up his sleeve. Yeah. Okay. The Dolphins, 274 versus the Cowboys. I don't know. Oh, well, yeah, the spine is a bit of a question at the moment with the Dolphins. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fair. So it's at Suncorp Stadium. I think Cowboys come out with a big message to the NRL. Although the Dolphins, they've lost Gilbert. I just have a lot of questions around that spine. Even so, they started Nikorima in the last trial. Then Sean O'Sullivan gets injured with a head knock. Then they bring on Donahue. And then Katoa comes on later. I'm concerned about the spine and whether they'll be able to gel quick enough this year to do what they need to do. Yes, they may be better than last year, whereas North Queensland, everything is like set in stone at the moment. Obviously, they lost Cohen Hess. Going to go the Cowboys here.
Yeah, going to go the Cowboys. If it was like round 5, I wouldn't even blink at it. Again, Wayne Bennett, round 1, he'll have those boys ready. If either side can be, or if the Cowboys can be a little bit clunky in attack, both fit, healthy, 3-5 rounds into the competition. I think the Cows are way too silky, way too many points for them. But round 1, it'll be a dogfight, it'll be gritty. I think the Dolphins are great value, but I'm tipping the Cows.
Yeah, pretty much exactly what you said. I don't have anything to add on that. Like the Cowboys, I think they're going to be the big improvers of this year. I think they were very underwhelming last year. They're much better than they were last year.
I'll ask you this question. If Cowboys do what they did again with this squad, again this year, is there pressure on Payton?
Absolutely.
Definitely. He hasn't achieved enough in the game as a coach to have, consecutive poor seasons.
With the squad he has. It's not like he's rolling in with a...
Sure. Yeah. With a great squad, I think we're all in agreement. The Cowboys can be a top 4 side this year.
They could push for a premiership at their best.
They could.
Yeah.
So if they were to say miss the 8, yeah, sure, there's got to be pressure on.
Alrighty. That is us done and dusted. Timmy just made it. I don't know if you want to tell the audience what you went through last night, but it was an absolute disaster. Let's just say he had to drive back from Cooma. And car breaks down, hitchhikers, driving people, didn't get to bed till, what?
About 1, 2.
1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. So we'll just honey dick you with that. Or unless you want to tell the story, a PG version.
Give me a week to stew on how to tell the PG version without getting myself into trouble. Not that I have done anything wrong, but I just will say something wrong in the entirety of the story. So we'll let people stew on it.
Yeah, but it's not bad. He hasn't done anything bad, guys.
It's not bad.
Timmy was being a good bloke.
Yeah.
Just put it that way.
It'll be good to get a live reaction as well from Guru and Hammy.
Yeah, true.
Very true. Yeah, so don't tell him before next week.
We'll work out how to word it.
Yeah, okay. Timmy the politician, eh? Alrighty, that is us done and dusted, guys. There's still some CBA shirts on bloke.shop. What else? Don't forget, use the link in the show notes to do the survey. We're giving away 10 $100 vouchers. We've got some incredible stuff dropping in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So if you want to win that, you'll be able to get it for free, essentially. And also, don't forget, use the show note link to purchase the Australian Boxing March 13th. We've got Goodman versus Schlieb, plus a bunch of other fights on the card. And then later on in the whoop, they've got plenty more fights than No Limit all month long, leading up to Tim Tszyu versus Thurman. Holy, I can't wait for that fight. The biggest fight of Tim's career by a country mile. But as usual, we'll go and fuck ourselves. Thank you.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.